That's got to be like 60,000 calories right there. It works. I can hear me. I sounded awesome. Yeah, I can't argue with that. Yeah, it looks good. I mean, I see me. I see the live. Well, your face popped up on the live stream. Don't hear anything from you yet. I assume you're muted.
Yeah. Bunny.
I did see the bunny.
The bunny is right above the mic. Wait, right
Yeah, I saw
there.
it.
Now, where is everybody, man? Hey, speaking of the devil, there it is.
Yeah, Tony had to restart. Don't we have?
See.
Who else are we getting today?
I
Is
think
it just us
Josh is
three?
gonna be
Josh?
it.
Okay.
Bo was gonna come, and then he choked himself.
Can you hear me?
Yay! Yes. Maybe.
Are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right.
Right, I've had to boot into 19.3 and I'm now going to restart Audacity and see if that'll pick me mic up while
Yeah.
Discord's working.
All right. Oh, other way.
Bo found another excuse not to be on the show today.
Yeah, he did. He likes to do all that dusty work right before the show so he can skip the show.
Right.
And get us to feel bad for him at the same time. So
Mm.
you know, man.
I'm generally on enough antihistamine to, kill a bull elephant.
Test it. Yeah, it's picking me mic up in Audacity, so it should
Yay.
be all right.
Wow. Oh wait, that's the wrong link. It's like, how do we already have 10 likes? That's funny. Hey, we did pick up 2 subscribers though. That's cool. Welcome, ye old subscribers.
Oh, now we got 2 likes.
Oh, wait. 3. Ha ha. Ah, my water.
I have Offspring stuck in my head today.
Ah, not a bad band to have stuck in your head. I guess.
It's not terrible.
Right.
So the idea is one of these days, I'll start actually caring enough. This is a screen, and
I'm just testing the audio in Audacity.
and how's it going?
I'll tell you in 2 settings.
All right, there we go. I'll actually put what's supposed to be there. There.
Yeah, it's recording.
Watch this time next year. This will be the hosts,
It might
Leo,
be.
Joe, and Tony.
It might be. I don't doubt it.
Right, so that is sorted. Now I've got to get the show notes back up.
Wouldn't be a bad idea.
Those are useful.
They are, aren't they?
See, I mean, worst case scenario, Tony, you could just go watch the live stream and I have the show notes there. It's almost like we know what we're doing. We don't, but I think we played it off pretty well.
We're really good at pretending.
That's it, man. Which reminds me.
And you know what they say, fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
You just never stop faking it, to be honest.
Right, got the show notes up.
There, I saw your letter pop up. Look at this. It's like I almost am ready. Like I have, my God, there's a lot of dot directories in my home folder. Got to do something about that. All right. Got the audio bits ready. Let me see.
Did you build a stream deck yet?
Ha! I did see something about doing that with a Raspberry Pi, which is super cool.
Probably easier to do it with a Pico or one of the smaller app megas.
Yeah.
Just a little controller instead of a full-on computer.
Mm-hmm. That's the idea. All right. Yep, Audacity's picking me up. I think I'll be ready. But you know what? I have a feeling about today because we're adding so much new stuff. I'm going to make sure to start my save file now. You know, EP361.
Yeah.
What is this? EP?
Nope, I'm just still going cowboy on it.
361, yeah.
Well, now's the time I will go and add in. Where is it? Here we go. Craig, join.
So where's now
recording.
Josh?
Look at that, both of them.
Oh, we're recording.
Yeah. Look, and Craig and Jerk are in here at the same time.
Do they follow the same commands? Is that why?
Yep. You don't have to do like jerk join or anything like that.
Can anyone record then? Can we record?
Yeah. The bot handles anybody. I mean, as long as you have permission and as long as they have permission to join the channel, yes.
So how would you do?
No, I think he's asking if he can set himself up as recording.
Oh, nope. Craig does it and Jerk does it. And then you go
Right.
download zip that has all the flags in it.
You can
Right,
with
so-
an audio splitter and some type of external recording device.
Oh,
Right.
yeah. And once Pipewire becomes a thing, it might not be so scary.
But I couldn't record it as my backup as opposed to Audacity just in case.
Correct. Yeah. It's Jerk and... Well, I mean, you could in a single file kind of thing. But I think that's probably it.
Right. Okay.
That's why all the other hosts aren't on the show today. They were afraid to get on camera.
Sorry, guys. I'm almost home. I'll be there. Just wait for me. Maybe like 5 minutes is what Josh said. So...
All right.
I
If
didn't
you're-
see it. Let me look.
If you're wondering why we're late today, we're always late. But today, it's because of Josh.
It's Josh's fault today.
Yeah,
We can say
Josh's
that.
fault.
Yep.
Blame Josh.
Yeah. We are always late, man. It's just the way she goes.
We should pipe some music in and get a takedown notice. I'm all for this.
No
We'll get
thanks.
demonetized. Oh, wait.
Oh, right. Wait, does that mean that Google takes their own ads off of this video, which is fantastic?
No, they won't.
Because...
They won't. They'll leave their ads on, but we won't get any money from it. Oh, wait, that's right.
Yeah. Oh, let me turn this fan off. Hold on.
Sorry, I can't turn off the rain, and it's probably going to get loud. All right, since we got a couple minutes, I'll be back.
Okay, I'm here.
Damn it!
Right, I can mute Audacity with me hotkey, but it doesn't mute Discord. Just to let you know.
One thing you can do. Oh wait, it doesn't mute Discord. Oh, well, that's fine.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
only
mute-
the live stream, Tony.
Yeah. So if you hear me coughing and spluttering, it's because Discord won't mute the mic.
All right. Josh, you made it.
Yeah. Last minute as
And-
always.
And we're not even 5 minutes late yet. So
Oh,
we're
good.
doing great. We're doing fantastic.
All right, it's the crew of the
Yeah, but
beards
it's not set
again.
up yet.
Yep.
He's still going to have to turn on Audacity.
Already got it.
and Bring up the show
Look at
notes.
this
Already
guy.
got it.
He's got
Already got it. And
it.
be ready to hit
Sleep on my.
record.
I set that all up, put it to sleep when I went to take my wife in, and it's
Where's
all
your
back
camera?
up.
Look at
Where's
this.
your camera? I don't see your camera.
Oh, it's not working? Wait a minute.
He's playing with you.
Why isn't it?
It was. It's not working now.
It
Oh
was.
wait, now it's working.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So
Should we
anybody
do the-
listening, yeah, while we do this in the chat, how's the video looking? Is it massively horrible or is it fine? All right, now we can do our countdown.
Okay. So everyone ready to press record when I do
Yes.
the 3, 2,
Yep.
1? 20,
Super
25
ready.
seconds of silence. Okay. 3, 2, 1, record.
Who's going to win it? Each team, the guys that have goals in the game up to this point. On the side, Barry Kaplan's going to keep those feet moving. He's got to score some big goals. On the Islander side, the guy that Mary, he can be dangerous in the areas. Those are my two. Yeah, mine is Jared McCann. He's been lethal since whenever Malcolm.
Joe, I have a feeling your audio is not gonna work this go around, man. That
The
TV.
silence isn't going to work.
The TV.
Well,
The TV in the background.
it is kind of turned up a little loud,
Yeah, it is.
but the wife's watching the hockey game, so
Okay. All right.
I
we
think
do
it's about to
three-
go into overtime too. It
but,
is.
I don't know. I don't know, man. None of that is the same. I have a feeling it's just gonna make it to the show. Like all of that is gonna make it into the show.
Well, we can record again. The wife turned down the TV a little bit, and I'm
Yay!
seeing my numbers look a
All
whole
right.
lot
Should we
cleaner.
do another 3, 2, 1, 0?
Oh, yeah,
then?
yeah.
We
Give me
wanna-
a second. I gotta
Delete
delete
those tracks.
delete everything.
All right, so
Start
delete.
again.
Got it.
Start over.
Start over.
Now we get to blame me for the show starting late.
All right. 3, 2, 1, record. Silence is golden.
Much
Better.
better.
Right, should we do 3, 2, 1, 0?
Yep.
3, 2, 1, 0.
Zero.
Yay! That lines us up.
You were all in sync. I was a fraction of a second before
But
you.
we were so in sync, I couldn't even hear Leo.
Yep. I'm pretty sure I said it. I mean, 80% sure on that.
I heard Josh. I didn't hear Leo.
Right. Okay. Now the trick is, how do you see the show notes and see what's on the screen? So
You can do a
Have
pop
two
out.
monitors.
Well, that helps. But
yeah,
in
it
Discord,
does, but I don't.
Hover
gonna
over our faces, bottom right.
Pop out me.
Yep.
I've popped out the show notes from me browser. Oh, that's a point. Have we got an audio drive in an audio folder? Let me.
Nah, we can make it soon.
Are you sure that's what you want to go with? Joe writes with a pine saw.
Hey, man.
I mean, you can write with a soldering iron. It's just not recommended.
Joe, are your fingers broken? Because you can change it.
I'm just asking what your opinion is now that you actually know.
Oh, I didn't think it was great in the first place. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll leave it as that then.
Well, perfect.
Now I've got
What
to
else is new?
learn to read very small print.
Yes.
That's what control and scroll is for.
No, it's all right. I'm going to put it across the bottom so I can.
Even with multiple monitors, there's way too many things I'm supposed to be keeping track of at the same time.
Yeah, man.
Alright.
That's why you want one monitor, so that you can only fit so much on there, so your focus is a little
Hey, Dot and it RD. This is supposed to be a family-friendly show, or I would show you how many fingers I like to hold up.
Okay. Should we hand it over to Leo to do the intro? So mute our mics.
Are we ready? Am I gonna? Oh, look at this. Hold on. Oh no, that's right. Oh my god, I think my brain's broken.
It is
I think so.
verified.
Mm-hmm. All right, we ready then?
For what?
To start the show. Oh,
What
ho,
show?
ho, ho. This one. The
There's
one
a
that
show?
Josh scrambled home to get to.
Oh, okay. I'll be quiet now.
All right. Welcome to mintCast, the podcast by the Linux Mint community for all users of Linux. This is episode 361. This is episode 361.5. Livestream information is at mintcast.org/livestream. We're in the mintcast channel in IRC at irc.spotchat.org. If you see something you'd like to hear about, tell us. Send us email at mintcast@mintcast.org. Join us live on YouTube. Post at the mintcast subreddit. Chat with us on Telegram, Discord, Facebook, Matrix, Element Matrix. We're going to have a conversation about this, Josh. Or post directly at mintcast.org. This is Leo, and with me today is Joe.
Hello.
Tony Hughes.
Hi guys.
Josh.
Hi.
And I think that's it. No, we have names. We have names in here. Anyway, we're recording on Sunday, May 16th, 2021. First up in our wanderings, I start building. Joe writes with a pine sill. Tony upgrades. Josh fights a game. And Bo was going to try to leave, but he left. So, Then, our news. Audacity gets bought up. System 76 launches the launch, and LibreOffice lets you search. In our intersection, we pick some of our favorite free, maybe, and open source software. And finally, the feedback and a first look. Yay, we made it. I made it through that intro with only like 12 or 50 mistakes. I don't know. There's a bunch, but that's fine because that's what gives a show character, right?
It's expected when you're live.
Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing. We can edit this, but we're not gonna.
We won't.
That's the way this show has always been.
At least Owen won't.
Yeah, I wouldn't want him to anyway. Those flubs are kind of funny. Anyway, what I've been doing these past couple of weeks is, number one, starting to piece together a new desktop. I have been fortunate enough to find a Ryzen 5800X at about $20 off the normal sale price. I think they're $450. They've been $20 off a lot, and then I found a 5% off coupon at Newegg to get me an extra like $22 off. So I got it for a little over 400.
Is the X series an APU?
No, no, I don't think so. But I've got a video card. I don't have to buy one because I couldn't even if I wanted to right now. So I'm okay. 5700 XT is what I've got, and that'll last me for a while. Now I got a lot of flack from this outside of the show channels, but I bought a cooler for it. Normally I would just go with the trusty Hyper 212 Evo something or another, but I figured I would try out this newfangled all-in-one cooler thingamajig thing. So I started searching around and found out that the 120 millimeter ones, I guess, I don't know, they're like that big. But yeah, those all-in-ones, the ones with just one fan, will be able to handle the 5800X. I'm not planning on overclocking, or at least not anytime soon. And if I do that, I'll go with 240 mil or something like that. But for now, that's it. That's it. So the Cooler Master ML120L, I think, is the model number of that. Now, one of the things, though, is that I really wanted a 5900X. That's what I had my heart set on. But just like video cards, they've vanished. Poof, into thin air. They're just not out there for me to buy. Now, Hoosie is in the UK and mentioned that he could just buy one, like right now, go to the store and buy one. I'm very jealous of that. I cannot do that. Micro Center doesn't have them. Newegg doesn't have them. Amazon doesn't have them. Nobody has them. So
I was in Micro Center yesterday.
they didn't have them.
There is not any graphics cards in there. The entire section is empty.
Yeah, no graphics cards and no 5900Xs. I think you can usually get your hands on the bigger ones, like the 5950 that has 16 cores. But I think that's because it's like $800. So yeah, I'm good. That's a little too much. The 5900 gave me 4 extra cores for $100 extra bucks, and I would probably not upgrade from that thing for like the next 6 to 8 years. So it would have lasted me for a good long time. The 5800X, maybe not so long, but I don't know. Usually my wife gets all the hand-me-downs anyway, so she'll enjoy that if I ever upgrade.
So why did you go with this cooler versus a air cooler?
No real reason other than I just wanted to try it out and see how it worked, and it was cheap enough that I got that one on sale as well. So it was $20 off, and then I have if I remember to do it, a $20 mail-in rebate, which is fantastic. I don't know, it's like a Visa card or something like that, but it brought it down to $40, which is cheaper than the Hyper 212 Evo, RGB, LMNOP, whatever else it was going to be, that cooler. So $10 cheaper than that. So that was really the big thing. Yeah,
you could definitely get an air cooler that performs much better than that thing, and probably be at the same price. But
nah, the only one that was actually fighting that one toe to toe was the Noctua something or another. And number one, those
honestly,
things are, what?
Noctua should always win.
Well, yeah, but 2 points. 2 points. This is they're ugly. Just. It's ugly. It doesn't.
The fans are ugly. Yes.
It doesn't match anything.
What's the other one?
It doesn't. Hold on. No, this is a very important point. It doesn't match anything in the case. Who decided to do brown?
You can get them in other colors. You really can.
Since when has a computer had to be pretty? Come on.
No. A lot of it is aesthetics these days. Your computer looks fairly standard. If you want your computer to stand out, and most people do, I really don't care. Mine's in a box. But anymore, it's RGB anyway.
Yeah.
So you can hide that nice brown color with some RGB.
No, you can't, because the RGB lights it up, and it's like, hey, what's that piece of crap?
Not if the RGB is actually on the outer perimeter of that fan casing.
Yeah, no, but I think the comparable one was about $80. So I mean,
Noctua is not cheap.
No, they are not. So I was looking for. I mean, that's really what I was looking for. I was looking for
the best
something.
thing about Noctua is that it's quiet.
Yeah, very much so. So I was looking for, and it checked both boxes. I was looking for inexpensive, and I was looking for water cooled because I hadn't done it before. And as long as it performed at or better than the Hyper 212 Evo, I was happy. So that I think is pretty much it. That's why I went with it. But if it doesn't work out, I'll just go buy a Hyper 212 Evo. To be honest with you.
Okay, I was just curious because I have the 5800X and I have a
I thought
Arctic.
you had the 56.
No, I had the 5800X.
Oh,
But I
okay.
have an Arctic Freezer 34, and that thing,
Hold on.
that thing's really good.
Arctic Freezer 34. Let's see what this is.
I think I got it for like $35, something like that.
Oh, really?
It's really good. Like it stays under, I'd say 65 degrees at full tilt.
I don't.
And
want
it looks
temperature
like
settings.
later
Turn it
on you
off.
could switch that fan out for a Noctua.
See now does Noctua have any fans that are not brown?
Yeah, they have a
Yeah,
an
they
all
do.
black model.
All right, fantastic. That's a big thing. Okay, I've got a smaller version of this. My daughter's computer. I had gotten a lot of the parts just as hand-me-downs from somebody else, and I put one of these, but it's a smaller one. I think it's like an 80 mil or a 90 mil fan, and it's fantastic. Like that thing, I never hear it kick up, and the chip it sits at like 40. She doesn't do a whole lot on it, but it sits at like 40 Celsius at the top, so that's pretty nice. Cool. I'll let you know how it goes. I'm not building this thing just yet. I still have to buy a motherboard, still have to buy RAM, and I still have to buy case. I think I have the PSU sorted. I'm going with a 750 watt, 80 plus gold Seasonic. But yeah, still need a few other parts. I have storage taken care of as well.
Do you have the graphics card?
Oh yeah, 5700 XT. I bought that
Okay.
a while ago, and I'm glad I did because I can't buy it now.
Yeah. Okay.
You can't
Just
buy
making sure.
anything now. You might be able to get like those, like a 1030, a GTX 1030 or something.
Yeah.
But nothing else. And then the other thing was setting up videos a pain. Doing this whole thing, this. You see this? All of this. If you're on YouTube and you're watching this or any of this, my God, it's a pain. There's a lot that goes
OBS
into
is
it.
not easy.
I mean, I think OBS is pretty straightforward, but I think it's like okay. So my screen that I'm doing the streaming from is 1440p. I'm doing a 1080p stream. So I have to take the screen share and our video and kind of like move it around just right to get it into the screen. And I don't even think it looks particularly amazing or anything like that. It just doesn't look horrible. It was going to be terrible and horrible. But I mean, And it took me a little while to just get everything drug into the right spot and to make sure I didn't accidentally have passwords on the screen and all kinds of crazy stuff. So, anyway, that's a pain. I hope you enjoy it. I kind of enjoyed doing this. This is pretty cool. But yeah, it was annoying to get set up. Now that I have it set up, I'll probably never have to fiddle with it again. But yeah, just so you know. All right, Joe, what have you been up to?
Well, I decided to pretend to be a plumber again, and believe me, that's the exact same thing I'll say when I put, some type of water cooling onto my computer. But this time, I had to take apart my garbage disposal and put it back together again. Some metal had gotten wedged under one of the tines and it wouldn't spin. The original plan was just to buy a new one and then fix the old one and have a spare, but Moss convinced me otherwise, and I just fixed the thing and had a talk with my children about being more careful about what got put in the sink. I had found a couple of other things in there that really shouldn't have been in there. I also replaced a faucet in the guest bathroom. And I went through, I did have to go to the store and buy a couple of more parts for it. The replacement lines, 1/2 inch on one end, 3/8 inch on the other. And got it all hooked up, and, perfect hookups, all my connections were great, but the inside of the faucet leaks. Like, where the way it was built is just wrong, and there's no way I can get in there to solder it and fix it because it's like up in the interior of the faucet, which is like wrapped in that fake metal or whatever it is.
Right.
So even if I knew how to, solder on copper pipes, I wouldn't be able to get to it. So I'll have to replace that whole thing again probably today. I gotta convince the wife to go buy another one that meets her standards.
Yeah, well.
I finally went to one of my local gyms, like in Allen. It was fun. I'm not going to stop working out at home, since it's always easier to get a bench in my garage than it is at the gym. But a lot of the equipment that I want to use, it's just either too expensive or not going to fit in my garage. So I got a 3-month free membership at my local gym, and it'll hopefully allow me to increase the amount of cardio I'm doing and up the weight on, everything again, because it's difficult to max out at home alone without a spot.
Yeah, for sure.
And that'll let me put back on some muscle, considering, I've lost a lot of weight. Now it's time to start putting back on the muscle. So away from that, I also modded a pair of retractable headphones with the Mmcx mod. I've tried that before, but it just didn't work out right, usually because of the age of the retractable or the quality of the retractable.
Right.
And then just an interior connection would get all screwy. It worked, and I really like the way it keeps the cables at the correct length. Even when I hook something external up to it, I can just pull it all the way in as far as it'll go, and it'll mostly be out of the way. The sound quality is excellent, but I'll have to wait to see about the longevity. I really don't like how thin the wires are on that, especially when it's like compared to on the other side of the MMCX connection with the actual headphone piece that I put on. I mean, it's night and day difference. One's really thin and then one's more of a standard size. Now, this was the HBS 1120, and it's a really nice headphone, despite the fact that the controls are on the completely opposite side. It looks good, it works well, but it's definitely not cheap to replace. Even used broken ones are still sitting at the $25 range, but I did get it with that bulk lot that I picked up a few weeks back. Speaking of that bulk lot, I am loving the pine sill soldering iron. If you get a chance,
hold on. What is a pine sill? I know we talked about it on the show before, but
okay, Pine 64 sells a soldering iron, and it's basically, okay, this might not mean a lot to most people, but it's like the TS80 or the TS100. You can hook it up with either a laptop charger that has the proper barrel connector, as long as it'll do between 12 and I think 24 volts. And you can also hook it up with a USB-C connection that'll do that in the same range. So, and I've seen tutorials on hooking it up with like RC batteries, because their RC batteries will do 12 volts, and that's how people are making it portable. So it's got a little display on it. It's programmable, how to ramp it up, ramp it back down, when it should cool off, the starting temperature and things like that. It's actually really cool and really useful. Heats up quickly, cools down quickly. I'm really enjoying it. Now, the tips aren't exactly cost friendly, but
There's
if you order a bunch of tips at the same time that you order the pine sill, you're good to go. I mean, because a set of 5 of them costs you an extra $12, and it doesn't have that much of effect on the overall shipping.
How much?
But
how long will one of those tips last?
Depends on how much you use it and how much time it spends hot and how you use it. Because if you leave it hot too long, it'll start oxidizing, and then you'll have to spend a lot of time cleaning it, and that will reduce the life. Look, if you want a tutorial on proper soldering iron tip maintenance, look it up on YouTube.
Oh, what you mean?
It's
you
a
mean
lot of information.
You mean to say that you're going to do a video and put it on the mintCast channel? Is that what you said?
I'm saying that there are lots and lots of people that have already done that.
But not under our banner, right?
You don't need another voice on that. Believe me.
Maybe
No.
you do.
I'll just drop a link to somebody else that did it. How's that sound?
That'll work.
But yeah, instead of me using the RC battery or the radio control battery that I see a lot of other people using, I picked up this RAV Power like 30,000 mAh battery that'll do super fast charging on my phone, which means that it'll do like 20 volts. And I've been using that with the Pine Sill, and that works just absolutely great. And like I was saying about the tips, you can get a set of 5 of them from Pine 64 for like $12 or something like that. But if you're buying like one off of Amazon, it costs like $15. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, one tip.
What?
Yeah. Order
Wow.
from Pine 64. Order in bulk. Like shipping doesn't kill you.
Well, I mean, I think
Yeah.
little things like that are always like, you know what it is? I bet you it's shipping.
That's just taking the Michael though, isn't it?
Yeah. I think Amazon likes to hide the shipping all the time. Under they'll put free shipping on there, and then really it's just part of the price. But that gets so many people. It's like, wait. You're telling me that I have to go pay $11 plus $1 shipping on this other website, but at Amazon I could just pay $12 and it's free shipping?
Surprise.
Right? Yeah, exactly. It's the same exact price, but whatever. Oh wait, surprise.
Yeah, but it's a whole lot easier to return things through Amazon.
I
than,
get you.
Other places. So
there certainly are
good
benefits.
thing. But no, definitely order them 4 or 5 at a time through the Pine 64 website.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
save up, get a couple of sets so that the shipping doesn't kill you.
I think that's important to note about any hobby, really.
Yeah.
If you got disposable things or things that have a finite lifespan, you probably want to buy them in bulk if you're gonna stick with that hobby, right, Tony?
Definitely.
Oh yeah. Well, other than that, work in the gym have been taking up a lot of my time, but I am looking for my next project. I still have another Bluetooth adapter that I need to finish building, and a 3D printer that, I was deciding whether to fix or replace, and a slew of headphones to work on still. But I want to do another Pi project, or find another interesting program to tinker around with, or some interesting hardware to make work the way that I want it to. And speaking of 3D printers, I did want to mention, I decided to buy the Ender 3 V2 yesterday. But I have
you
not
printed
set
anything
up
with
yet.
it?
No, I haven't put it together yet. I mean, as soon as I got home, the wife put me to work doing, stuff for when guests arrive. So, yeah, I haven't had a chance
How
to
much
put it
did you
together
actually
yet.
pick that up for?
I didn't catch it on sale, so it came
Yes,
out
you
to $260.
That's not bad.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for a
it's-
3D printer, I feel like that's still pretty reasonable, though.
Well, the Ender 3 V2 you can sometimes pick up on sale for like 230, I think, 220, somewhere in that
Yeah.
range.
That's cool.
I almost went with the old Ender 3 Pro because I heard some of the software is better for that, for like the slicers and everything else. But I really like the idea of being able to just, update the firmware and just directly hook up a BL Touch for automatic bed leveling.
Cool.
So that'll be a future project of mine. But yeah, it's going to be fun to put together. And then on a higher note, my eldest daughter is graduating from high school, and family's coming to town. So there has been a massive amount of cleaning and preparation at my house going on.
I know that
So
feeling.
it's a little distracting. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, speaking of daughters, I have I promised I would get this guy on the show. It's a little bunny. And as I was prepping today, she was like, here, have this bunny. And I was like, all right, well, I'll put him on the show. So if you're watching, hi. There you go.
Okay, Tony, what have you been up to?
Just going back to the cleaning bit, I saw a post from a friend of mine on Facebook the other day, and he said, "You know, you're not wired right when you start clearing up because you've just employed a new cleaner."
Oh, yep.
Anyway, so yeah, since the last show, myself, Moss, and Dale recorded the latest episode of Distro Hoppers on the 5th of May, and it was released on the 7th. For the first time, I used Audacity 3.0.2 to do the audio edit. And while it's not that much different as far as the editing tools go, I did notice that it does take a little longer to save the edits. Not massively, so it's not a massive issue.
What would you say? Like you're talking about like an hour show here, 30 minutes to an hour, something like that. What's the difference in save time?
It depends what you're doing, but yeah, probably 30 seconds or so. It's not massive.
Really? Okay.
When you because I do incremental saves, so I'll do the first edit, and then I'll with all the 3 tracks together and all the labels, etc., and I'll save that, and then export the merge file out into another Audacity channel.
Right. Okay.
So that first edit with all the 3 tracks separate, that can take quite a couple of minutes to save, and it's just a little longer. But like I say, it's nothing much. And by the time I get to that point, anyway, I usually need a stand up and a walk around for a couple of minutes just to get back.
Perfect timing, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, it's not too bad.
And this is that AUP3 format that Audacity is now saving to.
So once you've done the save, you only get the one file, which is quite nice because you don't have to go hunting for the folder where all the links go to.
Well, I don't know how many times I've separated them on accident. Like I move the folder or I move the file, and then I click on the file and it's like, I don't know what this is. And then or you don't have the AUP file, so the files mean nothing. So yeah, this is convenient, but there are some drawbacks to it, I guess. Yeah.
Although to say I had a glitch with Audacity this evening, Audacity 3 does not seem to like having Discord nick the mic. So I couldn't set up. So I've had to go back into 19.3, my 19.3 Mint, to use the old Audacity 2.4.
Yeah, and that's what I'm using now. And actually, that was my thought. I was like, why? I don't have that issue, but I'm not on Audacity 3. I'm still on 2.1.2 or 2.3.2 or whatever it is in 1804, Ubuntu 1804. But
I probably got access to 2.4 because I think the Audacity 3 is a FLAC, but I don't think I've installed it on me Mint 20.1, so I'll have to go and check that out for next week.
Yeah, and I mean, I do the repo version because it doesn't change. Like I don't have to worry about if I'm bringing up other software or something like that. Audacity is rock solid, so I don't have to think about it at all. Yeah.
So little glitches, but I got everything working. The only thing I don't like about now we're doing the show on Discord. You can't mute your mic with the hotkey that you set up to mute it in Audacity. So if you're hearing any extraneous noise from my mic, that won't appear on the edited show because Audacity is using the mute key. But Discord won't. You have to manually mute the mic in Discord. And it gets a bit complicated if you forget to unmute one, and particularly if that's the Audacity one, because then you've not got your proper recording.
Yep, and I'm in that situation right now where and I'm going to apologize now. My mute button doesn't work. It decided to not work, and I blame that on Discord. I don't know what's up, but I mean, luckily for me, my mic rejects pretty much all the stuff except for if I'm really getting up on my mic and breathing into it or something. It's got good rejection, but yeah, the noise gate will probably handle it. But anyway, my bad. Sorry.
Cool. So apart from that, since I was last on the show, I've completed the virtual walking challenge that I was doing, the walking 360 miles from the southern tip of Ireland to the northern tip. I'm still waiting for my t-shirt and medal. As for what next, myself and my better half have signed up to the next challenge, which is the North Coast 500, which is a 516-mile amble around Scotland.
No,
I've got a link.
I still think you should do the virtual walk from Florida to Alaska.
I mean, once you add up all of his walking already, he might already have it handled, man.
I don't know, man. That's pretty far.
Well, at the moment we're aiming to do Ireland, Scotland, England, and Wales, and then you get a 5th medal to show you've done all 4.
Man, that's crazy! Congratulations, that's a lot of work.
And for the last couple of weeks, I've also been doing quite a bit of diecast restorations. This week I restored a group of 5 Matchbox Lamborghini Marzels, and I painted them in some really wacky neon colours.
The pink and the yellow, those are my favorite.
Yeah, I've put a couple of pictures in the off-topic section of the Discord channel. So if you want to go and have a look at them and you're on the Discord channel, go and check them out there. And I've also been moonlighting on a diecast video chat on a Friday evening with a group of other modelers. And that's been fun and quite informative.
You can't be on another show. What? What is this now?
Well, it isn't actually a show because it doesn't get posted.
What? We can't be on other shows?
Okay. No, Joe, you're the exception. You're on like 12 shows.
Yeah.
Hey, what about me?
Oh, wait. I'm on another show too. Oh, no.
And I am. So anyway, that's me. Josh, what's been going on for you?
Errors.
Yeah, lots of errors. Yeah, lots of errors. Well, gaming on Linux, always something fun to talk about there. Yeah, Resident Evil remastered. Yeah, it's kicking my butt this week. I couldn't get it to work under Linux Mint, at least. First, the game won't start with anything higher than Proton 5.0. It just won't even. You'll press play. It'll say playing. Then it'll go right back to you having to press play again. It'll just quit before it even starts.
That sounds like a splash screen issue.
Yep. But then if you drop it back to 4.11 or 5, then it's fine. And it starts up. The Capcom logo comes up and then black. Nothing. Just sits there. So what that is it actually needs Windows Media Player 11 to play the cutscene.
I knew it. I knew
so
it
stupid.
was a video format thing. Yep.
Yeah, it doesn't, I don't know. It's so stupid. Anyway, so then you have to install Proton Tricks, which is a whole nother thing. It's crazy. It's not like just, look it up on Mint software and install it. No, you got to install pip, and then actually pipx is what you have to install it with, because pip doesn't work.
Hold on, what is pipx? I know pip.
I have no idea. I didn't even look into it. I had enough trouble trying to get this thing to work, so that's what they told me to do. It said recommended use pipx.
Hang on, one sec. So you blindly copied and pasted commands into your terminal?
I did not blindly copy and paste because
you looked at them before you hit the enter
pipx.
button. That was it.
Pip and pipx are basically the same thing, except for the X is just the newer version, I guess.
Okay.
That's what they were saying on the thing, but I didn't actually look into it. I just know that on GitHub.
He didn't Control C, Control Shift V.
I did not
looked at it and he typed it out.
Oh, okay. And the X stands for ransomware. I got it.
Yeah, probably. I think I'm okay though. I don't see anything unusual on my system.
It automatically installed TeamViewer for him.
Yeah,
Right,
right.
yeah.
Of course. Anyway, so after getting that installed, you have to, like I said, install Media Player 11, and then the game will start, and it'll play, and it'll get to the selecting play or settings or whatever, and you'll start to play the game, and if you have your graphics settings all the way up to high, you get this error, memory overrun. I have no idea what it is. I've been researching this for a while, and it seems like it's an Ubuntu thing. I don't know what else it really could be, because anyone on Arch doesn't have this issue. Anyone on Ubuntu has it. But the only fix I can find is to set your graphics to low. That's it.
Well,
and then
hold
the
on.
game looks like garbage.
Well, are you using a custom kernel, or is it just the kernel?
No, I didn't. I did not try that yet. I'm using 5.4.
Well, on Arch.
Oh no. I didn't actually try it on Arch on this on my desktop yet.
Oh, okay.
So I have to still do that. Yeah, exactly. To be continued.
Yeah, let me know how this one turns out, because I think I remember a while ago I had to go in for some games. It had to have, like, the memory allocation had to be manually changed.
Yeah.
So, and then you'd change that, you had to reboot, and then you had to check it because it was set to maybe 1 gig or something like that. So if anything got bigger than a gig, it would just like explode. And maybe that includes video memory. That may be what's going on.
At this point, it sounds like the easier solution is just a dual boot.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
It is the easier solution, yes. But I have another podcast now that this is totally right up its alley.
Yeah.
Right.
And what was the name of that podcast?
Crowbar Kernel Panic.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so that's where I'm at now. I'm can't really play it except for, well, I can play it, but I don't want to play it. It's amazing. It's amazing how much the atmosphere of the game changes between low and high graphics.
Yeah.
Like you can, like, on low, you can see everything. Everything's like, it's almost like you're having a flashlight or a spotlight on your whole game. And then when you switch it to high, everything's like dark. Like, you can't see anything, which is what it's supposed to be.
Oh, right. It's supposed to
it's
be
Resident
dark
Evil.
and gritty and scary.
Yeah.
And on low, it's not. Honestly, that's kind of in a game I used to play, Path of Exile, that was actually one of the things that the higher the graphics, the more gritty it looked, the darker it looked, that you got more of that environment.
Yep.
But I mean, the game was so poorly optimized that pretty much everybody played in low. If you're clearing entire screens at a time, you'd have to play in low, and it broke all of that, but it actually gave you an advantage as well. So I mean,
yeah. Depends on if you're playing to play or playing to win.
Right. Exactly.
Yep. So yeah, we're gonna see how that goes. Gonna get I'm not gonna install Arch. By the way, I'm going to install Endeavor OS again. I'm gonna try that because Mike has me convinced that is the end all be all of Linux distros. And as far as on my AMD system, I'm getting to know it a little better. So I'm thinking I'm gonna be okay on this system once I get it installed.
I think as far as good.
I was just going to say I quite like Endeavour. It's a nice operating system. Oh, obviously a very easy way to install Arch, but yeah. It's really nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's Arch without the pain, I think, in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I just don't have the time to go through. Even with the script, I don't have time to freaking install everything.
Yeah. And I think that's a pretty important point to make, though. But for me, I think Pop! OS is the nice medium in between the two.
Yeah, it is pretty nice.
I think they're on kernel 5.11. I assume they'll be on 5.12 eventually.
Probably.
It may not come out until June with their Cosmic release or whatever. But
that I'm excited about. I can't wait for Cosmic.
Yeah.
Like I tried to install it for Crowbar Kernel Panic last time, but I just can't get past GNOME and how it is. And since I've been on Cinnamon for so long, and I couldn't. So I'm waiting for Cosmic to come out to really give it a good try.
Yeah.
And maybe this problem won't be on that. I don't know. We're gonna find out.
yeah, definitely.
So let's see here. Yeah, so I got a weird error switching over to my server life. I got a weird error on Tumbleweed. I was using that as a server, and I did a scrub. Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. No. It's I've learned the lesson of why not to do this. it's not exactly sunshine and roses over there in Rolling World.
It's a good lesson to learn, I think.
Yeah.
You gotta learn it the hard way, though, right?
Yep. That's what I do. Got to learn it the hard way. So anyway, I get all my discs onto ButterFS on Tumbleweed. I redid everything just to be sure. Put all my data on it, and then I did a scrub. And for some reason, it said there's a bad sector, and the disks went into read-only mode, which is kind of like a rescue thing that ButterFS does.
Right.
And I was like, all right, so I'm not going to take this and say, oh, they're all bad, let's get rid of them and restart. I went and installed Debian and did a scrub on that. Now that's on the 4.19 kernel, so that is, it's a lot older.
Yeah, it's
lot older.
And it's missing a lot of ButterFS features too.
Yes, a lot. But I installed that, I did a scrub, it found 3 errors, fixed those errors, completely went through the scrub, and now it's totally fine. No problems.
So newer is not always better, huh?
No, and I'm not 100% sure if this is it could be an OpenSUSE error, it could be a ButterFS error. I don't know. I haven't really dug into it anymore. I didn't install OpenSUSE Leap, which is actually on the same ButterFS version as Debian is.
Right.
I think there's a reason why most of the world servers run on stable long-term releases, though.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing changes. Other than security, nothing changes.
Well, I was even being super conservative with this thing. I literally didn't install anything else. I literally just made the disks, it was ButterFS, did the RAID, and that was it. That's all I did on this whole system.
Yeah.
I installed SSHFS, but that, whatever. That's one little thing, and that had nothing to do with this. So it's got to be either a SUSE thing or a ButterFS issue. That, it's I don't know. It was weird, but yeah, Debian fixed that issue, or at least maybe it's overlooking it. Maybe the new ButterFS is more robust in looking for errors.
Look, this may very well be a Band-Aid, but hey, good backups, right? Good backups.
Oh yeah. Well, this is one of 3 of my RAIDs that I have that have all my data on it, so it's not so bad.
Cool.
Well, technically 4, because I have 3 disks in my desktop. 2 of them are in RAID 1, and 1 is just one separate disk, and they all have the data on them. Plus, they have I have all my other stuff at my parents' house on that server. So whatever. And then I already mentioned about experimenting with Endeavor OS. So, I hope that also will resolve the Resident Evil issues. Anyway, that's about it. I guess on to the news, right?
On to the news. So in the news, we were just talking about Audacity a little while ago, about the AUP3 format. But it turns out there's other Audacity news going on that, again, we caught it. This happened right after our episode. So all of the cool things everybody's already talked about to death, I'm sure. But Audacity...
You mean we didn't get it first?
No. If it falls on like Saturday or on the Sunday right before the show, we might be one of the first. But yeah, this one did not. Anyway, so Audacity was taken over by the Muse Group, which has other audio software. I think one of their main ones is like composition software. So you write sheet music, essentially. That's one of the softwares that they do. So Audacity's going in there, and I think that's just rounding out their their slew of software to handle everything audio from top to bottom. But these articles are not very positive. I think one of the things was that, Audacity got picked up by Muse Group, and Muse Group is not necessarily fully free and open source, right? That's not what is first and foremost in their mind, right? It just, Audacity happens to be FOSS, and it's going to stay FOSS because it can't really change much without forking it. But yeah, so here's the deal. One of the revelations that happened a little later on in this past fortnight, I guess you could really say, is the telemetry. So Audacity has never had telemetry in the past. I think, and this I don't know. This is a double-edged sword. Before we get into this, what are y'all's general stance on telemetry? What do y'all think?
It depends what it is. Depends whether they're trying to hack your computer and find
Nah.
out everything about you. But if
Well,
it's just basically trying to find out who's running it and what you use the software for, I've not really got much of a problem with that.
Okay, cool. Josh, what about you?
Yeah, I feel about the same way. I'm not super crazy about, the whole invasive version of that where, they're taking every little thing and it doesn't matter what it is, just, select all on your life.
Yeah.
But the way that it seemed they did this, it didn't seem too bad, other than the fact that, well, I won't say anything as of yet because I know the whole story because I've heard it 1,000 times. But
Right.
yeah, the way they did it here is kind of a little, I don't know. I feel like it's concerning.
Yeah. Joe, what's your basic stance on telemetry?
Anonymized telemetry is perfectly fine,
Cool.
as long as it doesn't violate HIPAA.
Oh, wow. All right. Setting the bar real high there. Well, I think
as long as it's not violating HIPAA and it's anonymized, I'm perfectly fine with basically any data. Basically.
right. So I think one of the biggest things about this is, number one, free and open source software is very telemetry averse. I think no matter how you do it, no matter how well you do it, no matter how much you anonymize it, I think a lot of folks in the FOSS communities tend to just say no to telemetry. And that was strike one for this. That's pretty cool. But that was strike one. No telemetry. We don't like it. And we as in the collective FOSS community, right? But they really stepped in it with how they were going to do the telemetry. I mean, as far as I understand, it's going to be anonymized and it's going to be right. It's just going to be usage, right? That's basically what's going to happen here. But who they were having do the telemetry was kind of a problem. It was Google and Yandex. Right. So, yeah, two companies with a really not good track record of giving two craps about your privacy. So, anonymized or not, I mean, there's always going to be that in the back of your mind that, well, Google hasn't respected my privacy ever in the past. Why would they respect my privacy when it comes to free and open source software like Audacity? So, telemetry was already a bridge too far. And then you tied it in with companies that don't care about privacy. So this is not a good, I guess, merging of two ideas. So what ended up happening later on in the week was Muse Group decided to drop Google and Yandex as those that were going to be doing the telemetry for them, and in favor of a homebrew, local-only type of this telemetry. So, half in, half out. I mean, if you don't care about telemetry, then this is not really going to bother you too terribly much, especially because it's off by default. And I do get the argument that, well, in one of those updates, they might just flip it on by default. But the fact that within hours of this change hitting GitHub, there were news reports all over the place saying, this is horrible, telemetry is bad, don't do this, Audacity, please no. I mean, hours. They saw the commit, and immediately there were news articles about it. So, if there is a point where Audacity does turn that on, or the Muse group has Audacity turn that on by default, then we'll know about it within hours. Before you ever get the update, you'll know about it. And that is the point where there will be a fork. 100% there will be a fork. So what do y'all think? Is this going to make you stop using Audacity?
No.
Yes,
I
let's
haven't really got
boycott it.
much option.
Yeah. I mean,
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, no, I'm gonna use it. It's yeah, whatever.
I'm using it right now.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I mean, we all are.
Yeah,
But
we all
we're
are.
also pretty much all of us, I think, maybe with the exception of Tony on Mint 20, we're all using an older version of Audacity that doesn't have any of this anyway. But the other thing is, what are the other options that is free and open source, right? It's Ardour. And you want to know the answer to does Ardour do telemetry? It's yes. So, I mean, what choice do you have? I think maybe you could say Blender can do it. I think Blender can do that, but telemetry too. So, I mean, there really is. Oh, you know what you could do? You know what? I have an answer for you. The answer is the GNOME recording. I think it's called Sound Recorder. I don't think there is an upper limit to how long you can do it. So, hey, you just can't edit in it.
Yeah,
So,
can you choose the quality?
you can choose the format, I think, but not the quality. So you can record in FLAC and it will be lossless. So that's cool. But yeah, I think they also support MP3 and 4A.
But you can't set a floor, you can't set a ceiling.
I mean, I don't know. Well, for a podcast, I don't think it would really be that big a deal. I mean, record in FLAC and then, you know, the 96K MP3 is going to just destroy any semblance of high quality you ever had. So I think it'd be okay. But you're right. You're absolutely right. It does not, as far as I understand, as far as I remember, it doesn't support that. So that
Can't truncate silence.
Right, yeah, there's no editing capabilities in the thing. You're going to have to import it into something else that can do that, and it's either going to be
Which means
proprietary.
Audacity.
Yeah, which it's either going to be proprietary, which 100% has telemetry, or it's going to be FOSS, which now has all telemetry. So we're at options. So I think
if you want to work with free products, then you have to assume that you are the product.
Well, I think FOSS has a different take on that, but I think it's a symbiotic relationship in FOSS, and I don't fault any FOSS project for doing this because it's important to know what is the most used feature and make that really good.
Developers need paid.
Well, that too. I mean,
developers got to eat. They got kids to feed.
That's exactly why we don't take donations on the show, and we redirect those donations to archive.org, Audacity, and the Linux Mint group. That's the entire point of this. So, I mean, yes, they do need to eat, but I think also on the other side of that coin, they need to know what to
Red
focus
Bull's
on.
not cheap.
Yeah, they need to know what to focus on. And as long as they do it in a privacy-respecting way, Joe, pretty much what you're talking about, in a privacy-respecting way, then I'm okay with it, even if it's opt-out, not opt-in. If Audacity flipped it to you got to opt out if you don't want to do telemetry, I would still use Audacity. And you know why? What is the one thing that I've heard every audio engineer or any aspiring audio engineer, what is their biggest complaint about Audacity? Is that it's destructive. You change something and the actual audio itself has been changed now. You can undo it, but once you click the save button, you're over. You close it, it's over. You cannot roll back further than that. One of the key points that is going to be happening in the development of Audacity going forward is the implementation of VSTs, which allows non-destructive editing. So, you got to take the good with the bad. Audacity is looking like it's going to be able to run with the big boys now. But you're going to have to give up a little telemetry. Well, you don't even have to right now. It's opt-out. I mean, it's opt-in. So, like, you have to physically go in and turn it on. So, I feel like if they're going to give me VSTs and non-destructive editing, I feel like I might want to go in and turn that on to help them out. It's a tough one to break down. All right. Anyway, Audacity. Don't panic. Next up, Microsoft embraces Linux kernel's Ebpf super tool, extends it for Windows. Now, this is something that I meant to look into and that I really felt like I didn't have the time to look into. Did anybody look into it?
Nope, I have zero details on this.
Yeah.
I put it in the show notes, but I didn't understand half of it. So
Yeah. Well, the one good thing about actually having a link to all of this stuff is that I can just pretend like I'm smart and just read somebody else's words, right? So the Register writes, quotes, the eBPF for Windows project aims to allow developers to use familiar eBPF toolchains and application programming interfaces on top of existing versions of Windows, says Dave Thaler, partner software engineer at Microsoft, and Purna Gadehosser, principal software engineer lead at Microsoft in a blog post. The last thing they say is building on the work of others. The project takes several existing eBPF open source projects and adds the glue to make them run on Windows. And
Okay,
as far as, go ahead.
I think we need to cover what Ebpf is.
Right.
And it's a register-based virtual machine designed to run custom 64-bit RISC-like architecture via just-in-time compilation inside the Linux kernel.
So it sounds like it's going to give developers a whole lot more visibility into what's going on to anything really. So I mean, honestly, that sounds like a good thing to me, though I don't know enough about it to be angry about it. So honestly, it sounds interesting enough, and I think what I'll try to do is dive into it over the next couple of weeks. Or if you know what eBPF is, how it works, and why we want it, tell us right into the show, whether that's in Telegram or Discord or email or whatever you want to do. Let us know how this works, and we'll cover it on the next show. So, kernel 5.13. Hey, so I was talking about a while ago, wanting to pick up a Mac, and just for the pure functionality of it. My wife has Apple stuff. I've got an iPhone. So there is some convergence there that is kind of nice. It's really, really expensive though, which is why I ended up not pulling the trigger on the M1. I may wait to the next generation of them. I'd heard that there were going to be a whole lot more ports, just more than the one USB-C that comes on it, which is horrible. But I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. But Linux 5.13 is going to have a lot of support for the Apple M1 stuff. I think that's really the main thing that I cared about. Why I didn't put this one in there, but that is actually one of the most interesting bits of 5.13.
I put it in there because you've been talking about the M1 chip for a while. And, you know, that means that if you want to go and spend two or $3 grand on a M1 machine from Apple, you've got the option to run Linux on it, or you will have the option to run Linux when the 5.13 kernel drops.
Right. And I think that's one of the biggest things for me. That, I mean, I really don't want hardware that doesn't do anything else. If it would just only run Mac OS, no, it'd be a hard no. But because I can put Asahi Linux on it, or will be able to put Asahi Linux on it eventually, that's one of the biggest selling points to me.
Yeah. It'll be nice to be able to put Linux on there. Don't get me wrong, the hardware is great. The screens always look good on a Mac.
Yeah.
But it's still going to be a while before the drivers really get dialed in for that architecture, for all the peripherals that come with it. And then every time, once again, they release a new one and some of the hardware changes, it's going to be a while again before things are working in Linux.
Right.
Be aware of that.
Right now, the best you're going to get is software rendering for anything that is graphical at all. And that historically has never been great. It's never been great in Linux at all. But that's, I think, one of the things that that Hector Martin and the group over at Asahi are focusing on now is getting that GPU driver up, running as best as it possibly can. So once that really comes to fruition, that's the point where you can say, oh yeah, I totally run Arch on a Mac.
But we do have to remember that there was a time not too long ago when hardware manufacturers weren't as friendly to Linux. And it took a while for the kernel to catch up. You know,
it always does.
And
always did.
Yeah. And that was one of the reasons a lot of Linux users used older tech. You know, they wait for 18 months, buy something that was, you know, cutting edge 18 months ago, because they knew by then the Linux would have caught up with it.
Exactly.
So in some ways, this isn't that much different.
You don't see that as much anymore with laptops, and you hardly see it at all with desktops, but you do still see it in the tablet market. I mean, look at the Microsoft Surface, for example. A new Microsoft Surface comes out, I expect like 6 months to a year later, we'll actually have a proper Linux build for it. So, yeah, it still does happen, but it's definitely not as bad as it used to be. And it's going to be that same way with Mac hardware until, you know, as long as there's an enthusiast Linux developer out there, it'll happen eventually.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be a same day type of thing.
Yeah, that was one of the things that kept me away from UEFI for the longest time, because secure boot and UEFI go hand in hand, and so those things to me were, a mirror of each other, and so I just avoided it. I mean, now it's everything I have is UEFI. I don't use secure boot, except for on my laptop. But other than that, I mean, it's fine. It's another feature. It's all supported, so it works out. Next story is the system. Oh, the system. System 76 launches the launch. And this is a keyboard. I have been waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting for this keyboard.
Yeah, they're not going to get my money.
They're not going to get mine either. As
man.
I said in Telegram, nearly $300. That was more than I paid for my tower.
Right. You can get a fully customizable keyboard that you can basically build yourself that has Bluetooth built in and all mechanical keys, MX Cherry, whatever you decide to put in it. And it'll be a whole lot less than the $300 that they're asking for this.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. This keyboard is fantastic. It's custom. My favorite thing about this keyboard is that they have broken the spacebar into two, and you can customize either the left or the right side to be something else, some other kind of modifier key, or if you just want that to be the super key from then on, you can make that happen.
I think most of your breakout boards that are for making a keyboard have that in some way or another.
But how easy is it to customize it to be exactly what you want it to be?
Really simple, since you can program each and every key on them.
And that's one of the big selling points of this, is that each key is programmable. You can do whatever you want to with it. My favorite thing is one of my other favorite things is that it has the F keys, and they're very close to the number keys. That's fantastic. Mostly because when I play games, I like to integrate it in the F keys, and when you have that like massive chasm between 1 and F1, and they're always like at a diagonal as well. The keyboard I'm on right now has F1 right over the number 2.
So that means this is not a 60% keyboard. I think I 68,
65 or 70, something like that. Yeah, somewhere there.
Because like this, for the people actually watching, this is a 60% keyboard. No function keys, no arrow keys. You got to use the FN key to do all of that stuff, and you got to memorize where everything is. But this is also fully programmable.
Yeah, and I mean it's nice, man. Over USB-C, there we go. One thing that I didn't notice is that by default there's no print screen button. Surely you can customize that, but that's one of my pet peeves about buying keyboards that are not customizable. If it doesn't have a print screen button, what are we doing?
Well, if it's got a function key, then yeah.
Well, I mean, sure, you can modify blah blah blah, but I mean, you have to set it up. And I'm saying, the keyboards that this really makes me mad about are the keyboards that you cannot customize. And when it's not there, or it's like, function shift F3 or something like that, man, come on.
And a plastic backplate.
That was the thing. So we're sure it's plastic now?
No, I'm still not certain. It looks like it from the image where it's completely broken down.
But it could also be just that I've seen metal with that kind of fuzzy feel to it. So I'm not convinced it's plastic, but if it is plastic, that's a huge not good.
Where they did some kind of, anodized painting. So it looks very shiny, but it's painted.
Right. So there, if you're watching on the video, you can see the kind of RGB craziness that you can get with it. But there's I think it's Keychron is the name. You can get yourself a pretty decent keyboard with RGB, and I think there are bits of it that can be customizable. I mean, for about $85. So, we're talking about a 200. Oh yeah, look at that. That's nice.
Rainbow vomit.
Yeah, you're talking a $200 difference. I mean, how much did that run you, Joe?
Oh, I got this for $60.
And it's fully customizable?
Yeah, I had to put keys in it myself, and you can see I can change the lighting pattern.
So can you change the control key to be something else, like the Alt key?
Yes. Sadly, I would have to load up into Windows and download the specific software that goes with it, and then I could modify this to do whatever I wanted it to. But yeah, the stock is, good enough for me. And then,
Yeah.
like I said, I can just press a couple buttons there, and I'm scrolling through different color schemes
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
and watching it change. I can even set this up so that it's got a microphone in it,
What?
and it will react to my voice with the lights across it.
Mycroft?
Wow. Right?
No,
Put Mycroft
no,
on there.
sadly, no. Hold on, let me see. Yeah, there you go. Look, as I talk, it lights up in different ways.
What?
So let me
That's
bring it
kinda
a little
cool.
closer, and you can see. The louder I talk, the more it goes across.
That's actually pretty cool. All right.
Yeah,
For $65, that's not bad.
yeah.
But I mean,
Well,
the
it was $65 base, and then like $40 for all of the MX Cherry keys, and then another $20 for the keycaps, and a few bucks for the stabilizers, et cetera, et cetera. So it does add up, but it ain't $300.
yeah. And well, that's so it sounds like the big difference between this keyboard is that number one, it's custom. Number two, it's by System 76, and number three, it's 100% open source. That I think is important. I mean, it does cost a premium to get that kind of TLC from a company that supports Linux. But yeah, just $300 is a lot of money. It is a
Yeah.
lot of money. But if you live your life on a keyboard, it's not so bad. I mean, I do spend a good amount on a keyboard, but usually that's in the $100 range, not in the $300 range. So it's tough.
The last keyboard that I bought was the what was it? The RK100, the Royal Kludge from Ree,
Mhm.
and that is a full keyboard, and it's out in my garage currently. That'll
Yeah.
do Bluetooth and USB dongle as well as wired if you needed to,
Yeah.
and it's hot swappable on the keys, and you can always put custom keycaps on and everything else. So, yeah, $300 is a mighty big stretch.
Yeah, it really is. Anyway, good hardware, tough price. Anyway, next up, 6 years after the request, LibreOffice 7.2 finally offers searchable commands. So if you're looking for merge or bold or anything and you just can't find it in that vomit of buttons up at the top, you can search it now. Man, that's so cool. You don't see that in all of the word processors, but if you're on 7.2, you can search.
I think that really is cool, actually, because
It is.
there's been loads of times when I've wanted to know how to do something, and I've had to actually go to the manual to find out how to do it. Whereas with that, you just say what you want to do,
Yeah.
and it'll tell you where the command is.
Exactly. I mean, it just boom, there it is. You can see it on the screen there. You type in merge, and then you get anything that has the word merge in it, and there it is. It's just right there. You don't have to go hunting for it. I mean, really, like there are 1,000 options underneath all of that stuff. You go to styles, and there's a million. You go to sheets, there's a million.
Yeah.
You go to data, there's another million. And it's just hard to know exactly where everything is. Once you get used to it, sure, you know exactly where it's at. But yeah, I don't know. This is
I'll have
like
to see if that drops into Snap anytime soon, because I've got the Snap of it.
It should.
LibreOffice installed, so we'll see.
Let us know how it goes. I imagine it'll be pretty nice. But if you're a fan of hitting the super key and then typing the application that you want and hitting enter, that's exactly what this is, except inside of LibreOffice itself. So good stuff. Good on them. That's an awesome feature. All right, well, that'll do it for the news. Let's head down to the security update. More security. And every time it ain't ever good, man. I just have to be a huge naysayer at this point. But, yeah, dark side. Dark side, dark side, dark side. If you pay attention to U.S. politics or you live in the U.S., you probably know that one of the gas pipelines that runs from the northeastern part of the U.S. to the, I guess, almost south central. Oh, yeah, actually, yeah, because it goes into Texas. That pipeline was shut down by ransomware last week. And because of that, there wasn't any gas flowing. So not that there wasn't enough. I think that was one of the funniest revelations about all of this is that there was enough, but everybody panicked
But
about it all.
people are
So-
dumb.
Yeah, and if you look, you can find all of these horrible videos of people having fist fights over it, of people filling up Tupperware.
People spitting in other people's faces. People
I mean,
filling up trash bags.
trash bags, filling up trash bags with gasoline.
I wonder how long that lasted before it broke through.
Well, not very long, because it was a picture of a Hummer that burst into flames because they decided to light a cigarette near their vehicle that had, basically, because these things are so thin, gasoline fumes all over the place. And yeah, that doesn't catch near fire. Anyway, the story is not mostly about these crazy people that decide to put gasoline in not great containers. It's more about the effect and this group DarkSide. So the pipeline's called Colonial Pipeline. If you want to learn more about this, you can just Google up DarkSide and Colonial Pipeline. You'll find a gajillion articles about it. But I think one of the funniest things about this is that almost immediately after DarkSide figured out who it is they actually are ransoming, they put a statement out. You don't see a lot of statements from ransomware groups, right? They deal pretty much only in the hey, we encrypted your data. Our statement is pay us. That's the statement. Well, DarkSide decided that they had ransomed a company that was so important that they needed to put out a statement to say that we are not looking to cause social disruption. We just want to get paid. So yeah, they were not looking to close down a gasoline pipeline, but they did, and they felt, I guess, I don't know if it was a moral thing, ethical thing, I don't know what that was, but they put out a statement saying, well, that wasn't really our intention. We just want to get paid. So interesting.
You mean to tell me that these ransomware guys just go out randomly attacking places and they don't actually
they throw
know
out their bait, and whatever bites, that's what they get.
Okay,
all
right.
Think about fishing, right? I mean, you throw out a lure,
you're right. Yeah,
and whatever fish gets that's the fish, right? And so you pull up one of these companies that is massive as far as infrastructure goes in the U.S., and you're like, oh no, can we throw it back? No, we can't.
There's the paycheck.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna get paid because they did. The ransom was $5 million.
That was cheap,
and they got paid. DarkSide got paid. But one of the funny things about this story is that it turns out that the pipeline company, Colonial Pipeline, restored from backup anyway. So I have to imagine there's another side to this story that we're not getting. That
there must have been something they didn't want released or something.
That is what I'm thinking. Right. So the $5 million would not necessarily give us the keys money. It was hush money. This is my conjecture, my tinfoil hatness going on over here, but that's what it feels like. Why would you pay the money and then restore from backup anyway? So,
hey, at least they had backups.
Yeah, but if they had backups, why were they down for so long?
That's true. Takes time to it takes time to restore from backups. That's not instant.
But a week?
Exactly.
Well, think about it though. If you have warm backups that are connected to the network, what is to say that backup was not also affected?
Right. Yeah,
so
that's why you have layered backups,
storage.
especially if you're a major, whatever.
Yeah, maybe it just took them a while to get to the backup that they were actually
the backup of the backup
corrupted.
And yeah, exactly. But even if they could, with some semblance of surety, they could say, "Oh yeah, our warm backup wasn't affected." I still wouldn't trust it. It was on the same network that just got hacked. Throw it away and go with the cold storage, the stuff that is not on the network, that is not online, and restore from that. So that is likely why it took so long. It was 6 days, right? But
even still, I'd say 48 hours at the outside is what it should take, and you should do dry runs for that.
Well, all that takes time. So I'm not necessarily miffed about the whole 6 day thing. mostly because I live near Houston, so it doesn't really affect me. But the idea, though, is, well, the funny part about this story, right, is they got paid. They didn't need to get paid, but they got paid anyway. You know, the thing was down for 6 days, whatever. But there's more to the story. DarkSide lost their servers and their wallet at the end of this. And this all happened in the past couple of days. So we don't know. We have no proof of who seized it.
I
But
thought it was the FBI.
well, we don't know that. I just assume it's some 3-letter agency somewhere, 4-letter agency, right? But right, like we don't know who has it, but their wallet is inaccessible to them and their servers are inaccessible to them. They left a note on their website saying that DarkSide is closed. Servers were seized. Money of advertisers and founders were transferred into an unknown account. Random topics will be removed from the forums. So what? So somebody hacked the hackers, and you know, that kind of Batman stuff is, at the very least, it's funny. I mean,
Somebody probably heard this whole big news on the news and was like, "Oh, this is my chance to get a big payout,"
Yeah.
and just hack
It
them.
was probably an inside job. Then
That's
then they
true.
just made it
It's
look like hackers
most
did it.
likely.
You know,
Yeah.
I can either share this 5 million with all these other hackers, or I can make it all
take it and run.
disappear into a Swiss account. Since I already know how all of this works anyway, and all of these tools are right here at my fingertips.
Yeah.
So he's living on an island somewhere right now.
Probably.
Right, with
Yeah,
no
so-
extradition.
Mm-hmm. So good luck, DarkSide. So DarkSide is disbanded, but a lot of the people that it seems like a lot of the people that were working for DarkSide or working within that group are parts of other groups as well. So it's not like DarkSide closing is going to be some big sigh of relief for these companies. It's just going to move to a different name because it seems like a lot of the people that were working for DarkSide are working for R-Evil or Revil. And they have been behind a lot of the ransomware attacks that have been going around. And by the way, it's not like it's hard. On the dark web, you can pick up a ransomware kit. You don't have to put anything together. It's Script Kiddie Business for $35. $35 US. You can get yourself an entire kit that will take down an entire chain of hospitals, right? Like $35. That's all it takes. So it's not like, yeah. So I mean, these companies or these groups, they're not going anywhere. But we are becoming more aware of what ransomware can do. And I mean, that's a good thing because that means that companies will react and, I don't know, at least have slightly better education about what to click on. Because all of these ransomware attacks, it's that PDF that you download from your email and click on. That's what they are. So I guess that's a good point.
People
Good time to
still
say use
click on-
Linux.
People still click on things in their email?
Yes.
There's
Yes.
email?
Yeah.
Oh, no. I use email. I just don't
Yeah.
click on anything.
So
I
horrible.
still get, and I'm talking about official emails from
Nigerian
certain-
princes?
No, from certain companies that I deal with in the UK.
Yeah.
Legitimate ones, and I've actually complained to them about this, where they tell you to click on the link in the email
And then
to
log
go
in.
to their website. And I can't believe, and these are real companies that I deal with on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
Utility companies, internet company, all sorts, and they're still doing it, even though they're told not to.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough. I mean, because you have people that least common denominator style folks that just, you know, if I can't get to it easily, I'm just not getting to it. Because what would the alternative be? You know, go to our website. That's the instruction.
Well, I've got to say, my bank, my new bank, they're great. They send me an email and say, we've left you a new communication on the web. Go to your account and log in.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Which
And
is
that's-
exactly what they should do.
Yep.
And I can do that. I have no problem with that. But when they say click on here, that really infuriates me.
Yeah. 'Cause, I mean, how many link jacking things can there possibly be? There's tons of them out there. I mean, that you don't even have to pay $35 for that one. That one's free. that JavaScript exists in the wild. You just copy
But
and paste it.
until real businesses get a grip and stop doing it. And then we all know that if you're told to click on a link in an email, it's wrong.
Yeah.
People are still going to do it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, they'll still do it anyway. Once all the companies get rid of it, they'll still do it.
But at
People will
least,
still click on the links.
yeah. But it'll become rarer.
Yeah, maybe one day. Maybe one day. It's wishful thinking, you know. And one thing that I have been wishing would go away forever is CAPTCHAs. CAPTCHAs. Please find all of the streetlights in this photo. Like, really? And then there's like 3 pixels of the light in a different block, and you didn't click it, and it's like, sorry, you're not a human. What? Come on. So yeah.
I think you need to explain this to me, because sometimes it makes me do that, and other times I just click on it and the check mark comes up and it's like, oh, you're not a robot.
It makes you do it more when you're using a VPN.
Well, that is also
Okay.
it's also a choice made by. You can choose levels of the CAPTCHA. Do you just want the basic whatever, make you wait 3 seconds
So-
and it'll give you a check?
So what does that look for then? The one that just waits, a couple
So,
seconds or whatever.
The moment that you open up the web page, see, this is why I love privacy. One of the moment that you open up the web page, it's following your mouse. It's watching what you do on the screen, how you scroll, what you do, moving your mouse, all that stuff. If your mouse is like teleporting places, it knows you're not a human, right? If it goes down, by a percentage, just like chunk, it knows you're not a human, so that will fail. The horrible one is the image checking one. But I mean, the fact that we have machine learning that can do that pretty well already seems that that's silly. But anyway, yeah, it's an annoyance at best. At best, it's an annoyance. And Cloudflare is trying to change that. So here's the deal. Cloudflarechallenge.com. If you go there, it's got this little thing where it says, I am a human, and you click that button. In Firefox, it seems like it doesn't work for me, though this whole thing is still in beta, so I imagine it might take a little while for everybody to hop on board. But when you click on it, a little message pops up, says, we're requesting extended information about your security key, and this is in Firefox, which may affect your privacy. Firefox can anonymize this for you. So because it doesn't get to the point where I can actually present a key, then I don't know whether anonymizing is going to actually break it, because when I proceed, it just says it wants to register an account with one of your security keys. What it's referring to, so it seems like Chromium handles this well. I tried this in Brave. It works. It pops up and it says, hey, plug in your hardware key. So I think Firefox, maybe if I upgrade to 88.0.1, I'm still on 88, that it may work better at that point, or maybe it's going to take another iteration, or maybe it might be an 89. I don't know. Well, the deal is it works in Chromium, so if you're using a Chromium-based browser, this already works. But here's the thing. To sidestep CAPTCHAs, Cloudflare is asking you to buy a hardware dongle. That's the fix. Huh. I mean, yes, it works. Computers, I guess, bots, whatever, don't typically have a hardware dongle that you can press an NFC button on and make it send the key and do all of that kind of thing. Right, exactly.
Until tomorrow.
I think all of these things are always susceptible. It's always a cat and mouse game, right? I mean, someone's going to figure out how to game it. I imagine we already have CAPTCHA and everything else figured out. But, you know what? It's basically pay to win, pay to get away from CAPTCHAs. You have to pay at least $30 to buy a hardware key to avoid CAPTCHAs. Now, if there are other ways to handle this, and I think this is where it really starts to get to the point where, bots will be able to figure it out if it's software only. I don't think it's a solution for everybody. CAPTCHAs weren't a solution for everybody, because you ended up in the situation where, what if you were visually impaired? You're not gonna find all the streetlights on that one, buddy. So you're already in a pickle with CAPTCHA.
A lot of those have audio versions.
True.
You can click on an audio version.
Yeah, but even the letters and numbers, they were really hard to read half the time.
Yeah. So I mean, CAPTCHAs weren't a perfect solution. I mean, I don't think they were ever meant to be, really. But this, I think, you've actually got to buy something. As far as I know, there's no other way to do it other than something like a YubiKey or those FIDO keys. I mean, that's pretty much it. That's the key that you insert to get you access to this anti-CAPTCHA thing.
So for me, it worked. I have a Firefox 88, and the prompt came up and it said, touch your YubiKey. I touched the YubiKey, and it worked. So
cool. Are you on 88 or 88.0.1?
88.0.1.
Oh, okay. All right. So
Yeah.
I'm on 88, but not .0.1. So maybe
Right.
that
Do you
was...
have a YubiKey?
In my backpack that I do not use. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So this
I
is
have one
something that
that's
I
been
want
at
to
the
try.
office for more than a year.
Well, see, and mine is one of the first gen YubiKeys, so it might work. I don't know that it supports NFC, so it may not. So we'll see how
Mine's
that
the
goes.
cheap one, so it probably will.
Okay, cool. Well, long story short, I love that we're trying to get away from CAPTCHAs. CAPTCHAs suck. But the fact that you have to buy a hardware key really kind of puts a damper in that plan and, really will just affect people that can afford a $30 hardware key that
I
you
wonder
may
if
or
you
may
can
not
build
use for
your
anything
own.
else. You might be able to. I don't know.
I'd have to know the parameters, but I don't see why it would be difficult.
Yeah. All right. Well, any last thoughts on that?
I'm not buying one.
Yeah, I'll try it with my existing. Maybe I can be as cool as Josh, but we'll see how this goes from here. Though I don't think it's not a one size fits all yet. Maybe once we include some kind of software mechanism to do that, where it's free, then I'll get on board and say, heck yeah, get rid of CAPTCHA. Let's do this from now on. All right, well that'll do it for our security update. Let's head down to the Linux Innards. So I already mentioned it before. This episode, this part of the episode is going to be called X to Joe. So, Joe, X to go.
Well, this whole section is about open source projects that we like.
It is.
So,
Thank you for mentioning that.
thought we
I forgot
should
to
give
mention
that, little advertisement there on what this actually all is. But yeah, we each picked an open source project or an open source application to just give a little overview on, trying to bring some attention to them so that, maybe if you decide you want to go use it, you eventually decide to give a little bit of a donation. Because if you want to keep these things open source and you want to keep the developers developing, well, you pay for what you want to keep.
So one question I had that I didn't ask to everybody because I had a thing in mind, and then right when I was putting it in, I was like, oh, so is this FOSS as in free and open source software, or is it just open source software?
Well, I picked open source, so
Is X2Go is FOSS, is it not? What?
yeah, it should be free and open source.
Right, I think
Yeah.
so. I want to say that it is because it's NX, but is NX FOSS? Anyway, it's at least open source for sure.
Yeah. It's definitely free to me.
Free as in beer, it is. Free as in freedom, it may not be.
Well, anyways, the project I picked is obviously X2Go. So then, because that's one of my favorite things to talk about. And I know I've talked about it before, but I really like this application, and I feel like these guys don't get enough love. X2Go is an open source remote desktop software for Linux that uses a modified NX3 protocol. X2Go gives remote access to a Linux system's graphical user interface. It can also be used to access Windows systems through a proxy. And that's basically straight off the page. So off the Wikipedia page, which is right there on the screen right now. So,
Hey, take a look at that. And one of the things I wanted to point out was the GNU GPL v2, which, if I'm not mistaken, does represent free and open source.
Yeah.
So cool. Very cool. Modified NX3 protocol. So yeah, this originally came from the No Machine guys. So NX was a protocol developed by No Machine, which If
No
you
machine's
want,
still around.
yeah, they are. If you want a slightly simpler setup than X2Go, No Machine's a good way to go. However, they do generate proprietary software and other things like that. You can buy No Machine and do licensing and all kinds of stuff. But X2Go is the free and open source counterpart to that same protocol.
Yeah, and with X2Go, I install it on all my machines. It's one of the first things I install on a fresh OS. The client and the server both. Well, if there's a screen, I'll install the client. But if there's not, I'll at least install the server. I've used it in the past for thin clients to make very low power machines much more usable. It's great for setting up headless machines much more simply. As well, it allows me to control multiple machines from the same machine without worrying about the number of keyboards piling up. And yeah, that does get to be an issue. Also, I have used it to control machines that have very small screens or damaged screens, which makes things a whole lot easier, actually being able to see it on a much bigger screen. The client can run on BSD or Linux or Windows. Not sure about Mac, but the server itself needs to be run on a Linux system. Now, there is a way to do it from a proxy with Windows, but I never have, and it's not something that ever really interests me. I also use it to control and monitor my 3D printing machine by using desktop sharing, which works a lot better than it did in the past. So previously, you were able to set it up to spin off a new desktop. Now it actually works to be able to pull up the desktop that's there and completely control it. And I will say that being able to spin off multiple desktops from the same machine is also useful for multiple workflows, so I can keep everything separated. And I do enjoy being able to pick up from where I left off whenever I move to a different machine, just by reconnecting to the instance that I was just working from.
Hang on
So
one
if
sec. Did this looks like it's running in Firefox? Can you run an X2Go remote connection from Firefox?
I never have, but it sure looks like you can from what I'm seeing on the screen.
Whoa, that's cool. So I mean, you'd mentioned whether or not it supported different operating systems. If this is the way,
Well, that's
this is the
client.
way.
That's client.
Right?
Client
No,
basically
exactly.
works on I haven't run it on a Mac before, so I don't know. But if it works from here, then yeah. If it works from a browser, then yeah, absolutely, it'll work on anything.
Yeah, that's
including your cell phone.
Right, yeah. And I imagine it supports everything. I was on the No Machine page a little while ago and everything was supported. So if there's someone out there to write the wrapper for the X2Go protocol, then it works. So the only real platform that I would suspect that it doesn't work on is iOS, maybe. No Machine does work. So, do you happen to know if the No Machine client will connect to a generic X2Go server?
I don't know. I've always used the X2Go client. So
Right. Okay, cool. Well, it's just cool questions that we can get into a little bit later.
Test out on later. And now, one of my favorite uses for X2Go is like when I'm accessing, when my brother still had his server. When I'm accessing his server, I'll access it from the garage. I'll spin up a desktop. I'll do some work. I'll switch to the computer in the house, and I'll bring up my X2Go client, capture the session that I was working on in the garage, pull it up in the house, and I am right back where I left off. Now, I know that and if I lose my connection, like say I kick off a command or something on the desktop and then something happens to my network, all of that's still going to be running on the server. Nothing gets dropped. So then when my connection comes back and I reconnect to the server, that stuff has been running in the background. So it's been doing its thing, and I haven't lost any of my work. Now, I know that there are other ways to do that, like through SSH with Mosh, but the graphical user interface for X2Go, being able to bring up that desktop, that I find that really helpful. Maybe not everybody will, but I like it. They're an open source project, and it looks like they make their money from providing professional support and from donations. I like that model for making money. Provide the essentials for free, but charge for anything further if that's what's needed.
Yep.
Make your money from the businesses, make your money from the people that are making money from this. So yeah,
So Joe, could you use this to support, say, a friend or a relative that you've set up a Linux machine?
absolutely.
Yeah.
All this is using is SSH.
Well, okay, so caveat there. You have to be able to walk your friend through opening up a port or something like that. You need a presence on their network to be
Right.
able to connect. So it's not as easy as TeamViewer.
Right. Well, that's true. It's not as easy as TeamViewer. You do have to, do some port forwarding on their server. But if you're going in and setting up their machine for them, and you set up their router for them, and you go in there, you set up the SSH port, you set up the forwarding, and there you go. As long as you can access their machine using SSH, you can use X2Go to access their machine.
You got all that, Tony?
Yeah. No, I was going to say. So if you've originally set up the PC and you've had access to their, like you say, to their network, you've already done that back end work. So as long as you know the passwords and everything, you can get into their machine and help them out if they get into trouble.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And like I said, you can remote the desktop, or you can spin off a new desktop if you're not trying to see exactly what they're doing at the time. So yes, you can definitely support remote machines using this.
Yeah. So if you can SSH into it, you can X2Go into it as well.
Yeah, cool.
So Joe, I did do a little digging. Turns out it's supported. The client macOS 10.13 and higher is supported, as well as on Windows and of course
Cool.
on Linux. The server, however, is only supported on Linux.
Right. And I know that the wiki page said that with a proxy of some kind, it'll work on Windows. So I'm assuming that means like Windows subsystem for Linux or something like that. If you can get
Probably.
that running, you
Actually,
might
you
be
know
able
what?
to
That's a
get
good point.
X2Go running.
Yep, likely. And then I don't know if you're trying to connect to Windows. I mean, we have Remnant that supports the RDP protocol. So I mean, you could just do that. That might work for you. I don't even know, what does Mac do? Does Mac even have a remote protocol, like built in?
No clue. None whatsoever.
I've never needed to remote into a Mac like that. So, I don't know. Maybe. I mean, that's TeamViewer, I guess.
Well, this is going to be a short show if you guys don't, toss in some more questions there.
Hey man, I've been tossing them in.
I know. But we
Here's
can
the
never
real
get you to
question.
quiet down.
Here's the real question. Why do you have GUIs on your servers?
That is a valid question.
That is a valid point. And sometimes I ask myself the same question, and it's like, well, because I want to.
Yeah, and I run a
Freedom.
I run a Mate 2004. By the way, Tony, I know you're a big Mate fan, and I have okay. So it was like between XFCE and Mate, right? And the fact that it was super easy to get the Yaru theme with the green feel on Mate. Thanks Martin Wimpers for that. It totally changed my outlook on Mate. I think I've fallen in love with my server that does have a GUI on it, but for a very specific purpose that requires a GUI. All of the other 8 of my servers have no GUIs. So I have to run Firefox on that machine because I don't want to like download something and then put it in a shared spot and then move it over there or whatever. I just need it to. I'm going to download it straight there and then do some network work on it or something like that. But yeah, the Yaru theme in Mate is fantastic. I love it so much.
Yeah, if I used the GUI on any of my servers, it would be XFCE just for the stability of it.
And that was my other thing. So I have XFCE and LXQT kicking around, not on like servers, just machines that I tinker around with. And XFCE has gotten really good for that.
Well,
but
X2Go is also the reason that I install Mate on all of my cinnamon-based machines, just so that I have something a little bit lighter weight. And if I do end up on a slow network connection, it's not going to affect me that badly, or as badly as Cinnamon would, per se.
Yeah. And that's one good thing about X2Go. That's my favorite thing about X2Go and the NX protocol in general is that it's almost to the performance of RDP. So one of the things that I think pretty much everybody has complained about at some point in time, if you remoted into a Linux box over VNC and you didn't have like an entire gigabit of bandwidth, you felt it. Like
Yeah.
the images were chunky, like everything was pixelated. You couldn't even read it half the time. If you had a good connection, of course, it was way better. But if you were, as Tony was saying, doing it over a remote network or something like that, there's all kinds of things that could get in your way. And that's when you really felt how bad VNC was about actually painting things onto your screen in a good way.
Yeah, and
really
X2Go is
sidesteps
really good
that.
also about setting up the compression in the background.
Right, exactly.
Now, I don't know if you still can, but I know that it was possible just to kick off specific applications with X2Go, much like with X11 forwarding.
Mhm.
So, yeah, the compression is automatically there instead of having to, do that whole big thing where you type TAC capital C.
Right.
But it's all bundled together for you.
So, is there going to be a way to go for
Ah!
Wayland?
I hope so.
I hope
that
so
might-
too. That'll be nice.
Oh, dear.
Once they once they get all of the APIs figured out on all of the desktop environments, really, here's the marker. The moment OBS can do screen sharing in Wayland properly, then everything is going to fall into place for everything else. I think there are enough people that are looking at Wayland and looking at OBS and wanting them to work together that the moment that works, it's just going to be a cascade of everything else now supports it.
And then everyone will forget about gaming, and I'll be stuck on X forever.
No, I don't think so. I think
yeah.
Pop OS and groups like them are really going to put the focus on stuff like that. Pop OS really has a.
I hope so. But do they have Wayland even yet?
No, because Ubuntu doesn't have Wayland, but Ubuntu 21.04 does.
Right.
And Pop OS will be upgrading to that soon. In June, I think is what they said. So I imagine Pop OS will have, they won't stop the Wayland support. They will integrate it, and they'll be one of the people on the front lines trying to make OBS work.
Yeah, all of these gaming companies have realized how much more difficult it is going to be to pirate games if people can't get a hold of the code itself, which is why the streaming market is probably going to explode.
Yeah.
And so then, it won't be as important to have X on your systems, and Wayland will be just fine.
Yeah.
Don't mention that. I want my gaming computer.
Yeah, man. I think Wayland's good. Wayland's not quite as good as X as far as I'm concerned with gaming. But I mean it's not that far off. And it's still it's an older protocol, but it's just now getting to the point where all of these distributions actually support it and ship it. You could have installed Wayland a long time ago.
Wayland's been around for like a decade. It just hasn't picked up any traction.
But we're hitting the adoption in 2020, 2021. That's when Wayland really started to see the adoption.
Yeah, I've heard that before.
But it's true this time, I think. And we're
Didn't
actually
Ubuntu try and force everybody to use Wayland, and that didn't turn out so good?
17.10.
But
it was bad.
But 21.04 is what? Wayland by default.
Right.
So it's
But
here.
it works this time.
Yeah, and if nothing catastrophic happens, we're gonna see it in the LTS. So 20
and X is always there to go back to if you really need it.
Of course.
Yeah, and it'll probably still be built in. You just gotta jump through a hoop or two to make it happen.
Yeah. No, actually, it's just log out, click the little cog, choose X11, log in. That should be it.
That's two hoops.
Well, okay, I guess. But that's how Fedora does it now. It is super duper easy. If you care about X, then a couple clicks, you got it taken care of. All right. So, what is this, Tony? We've never talked about this piece of software on the show.
I don't know whether we have, but it's one that I use all the time. And everyone who's ever installed a Linux distro that's not KDE based has probably used it as well, because it's GNOME or gparted.
Let me tell you something. Even on
vital.
KDE based distributions, I install it.
Oh yeah, I use it. That's the first thing I install.
Yeah, the
I hate the KDE partitioner.
Yeah, KDE partition. That one. Look, don't get me wrong. It does what it's supposed to do, but it's got some other features like
it's clunky.
Auto
I
mounting
find it
stuff.
clunky.
Yeah, the last time I tried to auto mount something from it, which gparted can't do, by the way, I don't think. But the last time I tried to auto mount in the KDE partition manager, it didn't work. So
Disks is easy to use.
Disks
It's super
fantastic.
easy to use. but it definitely doesn't have the functionality of Gparted. So yeah, it's probably 5th or 6th on my list on a new install to install Gparted.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
It's usually one of the first I put on.
Yeah. Well,
I've
it has
got a
to come
little
after X2Go server and X2Go client.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was really surprised. I was thinking about what to do for this section of the show, and I thought, well, Gparted, but I was expecting it because it's part of the GNOME project, that it was going to be a massive team behind it, but it isn't. If you go to their wiki, then there's only about 5 or 6 people listed as part of the development team, and most of them are doing different stuff. They're not actually developers. So it sounds like, it's a very small team keeping a very crucial piece of software going, which, like I say, most of us use. It's also an integral component of most of the rescue disks utilities that you buy out there, System Rescue, Parted Magic, you throw a name out there that people use a rescue or a partition disk, it's usually Gparted that's on it.
But what's really interesting about that, I think, is that it's the same situation like what was it? TLS was in, or SSL was in back in the day. Whenever there was a fatal flaw found in SSL, and so we had to move to TLS. But we found out that it was just one guy in his basement working on SSL, and that's what protected the entire world on the internet. Right? I mean, to a lesser extent, that's what Gparted is about. It's underneath all of these other products that are doing lots of money as far as commercialization goes. But I mean,
well, Parted Magic now is a paid for ISO,
right? And so is any of that money going to Gparted, which it should be. But if it's not, that's not great, because this is what you're basing everything off of. It's a free and open source project. They should be getting a piece of that pie.
Yeah. So it's not a very sexy utility, but it is a very useful one. I use it all the time for, formatting and partitioning new SSDs and HDDs. Even just formatting a USB flash drive, it's one of the go-tos. I know Joe's just mentioned disks, but sometimes that doesn't work for me. I have to go into Gparted to get that to work.
Yeah, there's some extra things like dragging partitions around. You can't really do that in disks, but you can in Gparted.
No, the first time you get an error in disks, that's the time to switch over to Gparted.
Gparted, yeah. So, and like I say, most of the installers, when you come to the partitioning section of the install, then it's usually Gparted behind it.
Yeah.
So you're using it all the time without realizing it. And like Joe said, when you come to doing a fresh install, for some reason, Ubuntu, and obviously because Linux Mint's based on Ubuntu, it strips out Gparted after the install.
Yeah.
So you've got to reinstall it so that you've got it available, which is one of the first things I do. But
yeah, and I feel like my initial thought on that was that they're ripping it out so that you don't actually blow your machine away. But it turns out disks can do that too. So that's not the reasoning. They should. No. I feel like they should just leave it in.
No, I don't see the reasoning behind removing it. But I'm definitely glad that they keep it on their live disks.
Oh yeah.
I mean, super helpful if something bad happens to your computer to be able to pull up Gparted and put in a fix.
So
I've done that many times.
So what you're telling me here is we need to fork Mint and call it Gmint and just keep that in.
Yeah, that's it. And would that be a distribution? As a callback to our last episode, right? See, there it is.
I wasn't here, but yes.
Class System Rescue and Partition Magic as distributions, even though they're rescue utilities. So why not?
If you distribute it, it's a distribution. It's in the name, man.
Yeah. Honestly, what's funny about that is I'm surprised we didn't get more hate on that. Simply because we are on the opposite side. That everybody that's very vocal about it, they're not. they do not.
That's because they know we're right.
Because I really feel like it's just you can't. There is no strict definition of what a distribution is. So I mean, you're defining it when you're just ranting about it over there on the internet or something. So I don't know. We're much more open.
Tony, I have a question too. Now this is GNOME partitioner. Now, what is the difference between this one and disks? Like, I mean, as far as the development goes, like, isn't disks part of GNOME too, or is this? Am I wrong?
I don't know. You'd have to refer to Joe about that because he
The
probably
G-
knows more about
The G and
discs.
G parted refers to GTK, not GNOME. And
Right.
disks
is a GNOME program.
specifically GNOME. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
GNOME
Oh,
disks
okay,
versus GTK parted.
okay,
Right.
huh. But when you
I
go to the
didn't know
website, it
that.
says GNOME Partition Manager.
Oh, it sure does, doesn't it?
That's why I
Yeah.
was confused. I was like,
Yeah,
so
I
why do
was.
they have two projects
Well, then.
that do the same dang
Well,
thing?
I don't know. Does GNOME claim G parted? That might be it.
Huh.
Because this is not, gparted.gnome.org or whatever, like all the other apps are.
Right,
Maybe I'm
yeah.
thinking KDE. I don't know.
That's
But-
what I was just like. I've always been confused of that. I'm like, why? Why do they have two?
I don't know.
GNOME disk utility. The thing about GNOME disk utility is, yeah, it can do simple formats and set up multiple partitions on a disk. What a lot of people use it for, what I use it for, is setting up how disks work at startup. So it directly goes and
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
updates the FS tab
Right.
for you.
Fantastic.
That's
I love
super
that.
nice. That is one
Yeah.
thing that Gparted I think needs more than anything. But yeah, that is nice about disks.
Mhm.
They should just merge it. Come on, man. Let's do it.
Yeah.
For a new user, Gparted would probably be a little bit excessive, and
Yeah.
disks not so much.
Hmm.
All right. Well, what do we got next up? I think we've all professed our love for Gparted. Josh, yours isn't really an application, but it is
No.
open source software and free and open source software, right?
Yes. Yes.
What-
I believe it's the GPL3, I think. I couldn't really find anything.
Let's go straight over to Wikipedia.
Yeah. I should have went there,
Because-
but I don't always
because-
trust that.
They always have the answer, man. It's always in here somewhere.
It's going to be in the first lines.
Oh
Scroll
wow,
all the way
it's
up
not.
to the top.
It's just not referenced in here at all.
Just go all the way up to the top.
No, it's not. Like I'm using LICENSE. That's how you spell. Oh wait, how do you spell license, Tony? CE, right?
You're asking the wrong person. I can't spell for toffee.
Me neither, so don't
Yeah,
ask me.
it's not in here. So it's somewhere,
Let me see.
but it ain't here. What? It supports React OS. Get out of here. That's cool. Here we go. ButterFS wiki.kernel. Let's see if we can find
The ButterFS
there it is.
progs is GPL v2. So
GPL and open for contribution from anyone. So there you go. I don't know which version, but it sounded like, what did you say, 2?
yeah, it says 2 for progs, which is I guess I don't know. That's another confusing thing.
The
ButterFS
progs are the
does.
software that you use to interact with the ButterFS file
Right,
system to like
right,
scrub and all that.
right, exactly.
Yep.
But to explain it to somebody, it's confusing to say the kernel has this and ButterFS progs has this and yeah.
Right.
Anyway. So yeah, ButterFS. It's literally the first thing I do when I install a distro. I mean, I if the distro doesn't support it and support it as Timeshift needs it, which is another project I should have mentioned too. I won't like set it up. Like I don't even want to use it. Like I would use Solus OS if they were to allow you to use ButterFS easily, and you could use Timeshift with it. But yeah. So ButterFS is a file system and a volume manager. I've talked to death on the show before. I will praise it up and down. It can do all the raids 0, 1, 5, 6, and 10. 5 and 6 are still experimental technically, but I think they got most of it figured out. I mean, I don't know. I did have that issue with Tumbleweed, but on their page, it looks like most of the things are figured out with it. I think the right hole is the problem yet still, and that depends on how up to date their documentation is too, which is usually pretty good. So if you set your disks up as RAID 1, 5, 6, or 10, you can check all the data on it against the metadata, which the metadata basically tells the system what the data is supposed to be like, so it can check that against it. And then if it isn't right, the data, it'll grab a copy of it and fix the data that's messed up. Now, if you have RAID 0 set up, it won't fix it, but it can tell you if it's messed up, so you can store from backup if you had one. Should have one. The best thing that I love about ButterFS is the file system compression. That is great for SSDs and laptops and all that stuff, because you can use ZSTD, and you can actually set it between 1 and 15, and 15 being the most compressed and 1 being the least. And you can save, I think I said up to 20% on your file system, like totally, depending on all the files. But like with a fresh install, when I put it up to 15, it saves about 20% of your disk space versus just installing it with nothing, which is really nice for SSDs to keep the writes down on them.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. Basically, it'll also do pretty much everything in its power to save your data so that it doesn't, like, if the disk is failing, it will automatically go into a read-only mode so that you can't write anymore, and you can't write messed up data to the disk and just continuously break it even more. Right. So at least then you can get your data off of the disk that you have, or the SSD or whatever. And it can do deduplication, but you have to use it's not a third-party program, but they're another program you have to install. The one I use is deduper, which supports everything that ButterFS can do.
They need
the
to
other
name
one,
it super deduper, honestly.
Yeah, seriously, they do, because compared to the other ones, it doesn't do nearly as much.
Yeah. And that is also GPLv2. So
yeah,
more free and open source stuff.
Yep. And ButterFS supports Windows, which is awesome, because I actually have all my games installed on a separate SSD under ButterFS, and I can go into Windows after installing a WinButterFS, and I can play all my games from that disk on Windows with no issues at all.
I did while I was looking for the license, I did come across that driver. And WinButterFS is what it is. So
yeah,
cool.
It does most of the stuff that ButterFS can do on Linux, but it's still under development, so it's not like feature parity yet.
Right. But that's still awesome, though. The fact that, I mean, Windows can handle these Linux file systems, which that's coming in WSL2, but it's
right.
Nice it's already here, as long as you don't mind doing the legwork.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. With WSL, I think things are going to get a lot easier to go between. No, they already are easier to go between Linux and Windows.
Yeah, and that deduper is something I'm going to look into, because all of my important data is on ButterFS. It has not blown up for me yet. I can't remember how long it's been, but it's been quite a few months that I've been using ButterFS for that. And I do it for the scrubbing and some of the just those nice features that are built into ButterFS. I think I'll probably go grab deduper and see what happens. Can you do a dry run with deduper?
You know what? I'm not sure. I didn't check that out. I don't test anything. I just go for it.
Oh, there is. You just need to give it a --dry -run.
Okay, cool.
Fantastic.
That's nice.
So that's what I'll do. If I can get it done in this next fortnight, then I'll come back and report on that.
Yeah. I have been delving back into ZFS too a little bit, but I did it on Arch, which was stupid.
Yeah.
And I've been having a couple issues with that, but I will say one thing that ZFS definitely is better than ButterFS on, and that's the fact that when you read something from ZFS, it automatically checks the checksum, and if the data is wrong, it'll fix it before it writes it or reads it. With ButterFS, it doesn't do that unless you scrub it first. I don't see why they couldn't add that eventually to it. ZFS is so much older than ButterFS. and ButterFS has so many of the features that ZFS has. I'm amazed that it's as far along as it is. So, but that's the only thing that would draw me to ZFS. There's a slew of other negatives as far as Linux goes. I mean, if you're on BSD, it's built in, but ZFS that is. But yeah, but I'm sticking to ButterFS, especially on root. Like that is the best thing because you can use time shift to just create your snapshots and roll back, and it's really easy. It's even easier than Snapper is on OpenSUSE. But yeah, ButterFS. I mean, I will not use ext4 anymore. I will not, or XFS. I just can't. I can't go through time shift and wait for it to parse the entire file system and then write all the data. And if you did a lot of like video recording, it'll take forever on the second run, and then the next run and next run if you do a lot of that kind of thing. Or if you install a game, for instance, it'll take forever to back up all that stuff. Not that I do, but if you were to.
Stop buying slow storage, Josh.
Hey, I get all the stuff for free from people who have used it for 10 years.
Okay,
So
okay.
if I had
And
the money, I would have
The
everything.
half-life after you get it is, somewhere between another 10 years or 15 minutes.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
Exactly why I use ButterFS, because then I'll know immediately instead of writing a whole crap load of data that's garbage.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. So that's
So we
that.
were gonna have Bo on, but apparently he's fighting trees as well. But before we remove that, Proton. So I wanted to just talk about it for a little bit because I don't think we'll come not as much as we are now come fully back to this topic again. But Proton, right? This is the Steam compatibility layer that allows you to play games, right? I mean, it integrates things like Wine tricks, and I would assume, does it have like any kind of, actually, I don't know, but it certainly does have Wine and a lot of the things that go along with
Yeah, I think it's just
DXBK.
like an addition to Wine.
Yeah, it's literally just a tweaked Wine, basically.
Right,
They add some
right.
things to it and make certain games work. Like they specifically work on certain games for it.
Exactly. So so it's Lutris with less steps, I think, is really
Yeah.
kind of the idea. But
It's
Right.
Steam's particular version of Lutris.
right.
Right.
So
built in.
so the idea with this is that I specifically wanted to call it out because it does look like we've hit a full free and open source software licensed roundup, and this is free and open source software. Proton is FSF approved. Those folks would not approve anything that isn't free and open source, and it's FSF approved. So that's fantastic. BSD3 calls license is what it is. But the fact that it's so easy makes it feel like it shouldn't be free and open source software, right? I mean, yeah, Steam itself is not, but
Well, look, usually it's easy. Mostly,
Yeah.
usually. And
Well,
then there are
right.
times
If the
where
game is
it's
supported,
just
it's easy.
yeah,
right.
where
That's the thing,
just
right?
as difficult as any other setup for Wine.
Yeah, as you saw from my wanderings earlier.
Yeah, I mean,
that was all with Proton.
yeah. And the thing about that though is I think if you're willing to switch versions until you get the game to run like 4.18, 4.19, 5.0, 5.3, whatever, then you'll probably be fine. I mean, that's the vast majority of games that are not directly supported by some version of Proton. I've gotten just about everything. I mean, Command & Conquer, the remastered edition works, Path of Exile works, Civ's
Right.
native, but I've had
And then
Civ work under
sometimes-
Proton 2.
Sometimes you will have to go in and set up some startup things to
Yep.
like prevent splash screens from coming up, because a lot of times those splash screens just break Linux because they're designed to only work in Windows,
Yeah.
and
And
it's part of
because
the security.
Yeah, and because it's GPL, any work that Steam do on it gets ported back into the Wine, and if they want to take up any of that work, they can do.
Exactly.
Right.
So that's the beautiful thing about open source, man, is that you can't stop the viral aspect of good changes. They're just going to be found everywhere that would like those particular changes. So it's really good stuff. So ProtonDB is a website that will, as we were talking about, you might have to tweak it, this or that, or use a specific version of Proton, or do this or that. ProtonDB is a place that will basically aggregate how good any particular game works, and if there are any kind of tweaks you need to add, and what those tweaks are. So
Yeah, don't believe the rating at face value because
yeah,
yeah, some of them have gold ratings and they just don't work unless you do this, that, and the other thing.
Yeah, and definitely do a search outside of ProtonDB and see what other people are saying,
Yep.
or what other tweaks have to get put in for it to get that gold rating.
right. And Path of Exile used to be garbage. There is a garbage level on ProtonDB, which
borked.
means it either there you go. It either doesn't work, like launch at all, or it'll, as Josh was saying before, it'll like just black screen or whatever. That is borked is the right one there. But as of now, Path of Exile supports Vulkan. So I think that's that one single change that Path of Exile had made flipped it from bork to gold. So fantastic stuff. Anyway, so check out ProtonDB. They're fantastic. Glorious Eggroll is a custom kernel, if I'm not mistaken.
It's a custom version of Proton that he specifically works on
Oh.
other games to get them working. Like there's a whole list
Right.
of games that he gets working.
Right. And that's the deal, right? I mean, we said Proton was open source, and that's it. That's why. Because you can end up with things like Glorious Eggroll, which, Steam and the various folks that work with them on Proton don't have the time or the care to work on any game, this or that or whatever. But Mr. Thomas Kreider does and will, and he gives you Glorious Eggroll to make that all work. So
Although he's a hard man to get a hold of. I haven't figured that out yet.
Listen,
we want to get him on the show on Crowbar Kernel Panic.
yeah.
But I cannot figure out how to get a hold of him at all.
Well, you know what? Just enjoy Glorious Eggroll, and if he responds one day, then that'll just be icing on the cake. Anyway, so Proton, FOSS, yeah. And one other, mine's not nearly as exciting as all of these other ones, and nearly as pervasive, and everybody's heard of it or whatever. But Cawbird, this is a fork of a project that's been around for quite a while called CoreBird, and these two softwares, really, Cawbird is the only one around anymore. It's just a Twitter client. But one of the things that I absolutely hate about Twitter is the junk that I don't want to see, that I really dislike having to say, not relevant to me, not relevant to me, not relevant, blah, 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 blah. You don't get any of that in Cawbird. It is the most pure Twitter experience that you will get. And I don't think it even gives back the little how long you spend looking at a tweet, or in what direction and what speed did you scroll past this thing or that thing. Like that telemetry stuff does not get back to Twitter, as far as I understand. So if you have been averse to Twitter because of that, I mean, there's about a million reasons to not like Twitter, but I mean, if you're on the fence because of some of the privacy issues, this clears a little bit of that up, and it's GPL v3, which makes it free and open source software, so that is good as well. Really, that's really it. It's available as a Flatpak. That's my favorite thing about it. So any distribution I'm on, easy peasy, just Flatpak install Cawbird, yes, and that's it. That's really all there is to it. I think it's in most other repos as well, but it's just pretty fantastic. You've got a set of keys that you can use, Control T to compose a tweet, the back, Alt left to go back, and Alt right to go forward. So there's a lot of just interesting things that you can do with it. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I use Twitter a lot.
Is there an Android version? Probably not, right?
Of Cawbird, probably not, but I'm sure there's some kind of analog to it. Actually, I don't know. It's not in.
It's definitely not in the Play Store. I tried looking there just for the heck of it.
Oh, right. Okay, so well, I'll just go with no then.
Probably not. Yeah,
but
I was just curious.
It's a nice piece of software that makes things super easy, and you don't get bombarded with all of Twitter's crap. So that is just nice, very, very nice. But yeah, mine was simple simple and short, and nobody uses it. So no
I
comments.
don't
really.
use Twitter.
I know.
I'm too old.
Oh yeah. Okay.
They have an age cutoff. Didn't you know?
No, they don't. They got Bruce Schneier on there. What is he, like 900 years old?
They
I
just
don't
want
know.
everyone on there so they can collect all the data they want.
Exactly, but you can use Carbird and at least only give them some, not all.
But if you're less than 20, you don't use Twitter anyway.
Nope, you're TikTok or Instagram.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, well, that is our roundup. Unless we have any late additions, anybody want to throw anything in there before we close this up? All right, fine. Well, that'll do it for our FOSS picks, and then we'll head down to vibrations from the week. All right, I have decided there are 3 of you and there are 3 emails, and I'm not gonna read anything. So y'all can fist fight over
how
who's
many
gonna get
are
this
there?
first one. I think there's
How many
3.
are there? I think your count's wrong.
Okay.
One,
Oh, you snuck some stuff in there.
2, 3. Oh wait, no. I got to delete the last one because you already put that one in.
See, okay. See, your
Let's
count's
make sure
wrong,
there's
too.
not any doubles because somebody was adding things at the same time. I was adding things, I assume, because this
Not
stuff
me.
wasn't there.
I did mine
It was
before.
you.
No, it
super
wasn't.
you.
Look, mine are all on top, and then yours are all behind.
Uh-huh.
All right. So anyway, I'm gonna do the minimum amount.
I'll take the first one. I'll take
All
the
right.
first one. So it says, Rich in email. This is fan mail of sorts about Clem and the Mint team. After my previous laptop, a chromeless Chromebook, became unusable due to a swelling main battery, I went through the security process of finding something that would run Linux. Sad to say, searches for Linux Mint plus specific model gave me few results. I finally settled on a refurbished Lenovo T460s from a largest mail order company. It came decked out with 8 gig of RAM, 128 gig SSD for just under $440 in my hands. Hey, I can almost afford this. And it was a state-of-the-art business machine for 4 or 5 years ago.
I gotta say, I have the T450S, and yeah, it's fantastic. So good choice.
I've never had any of the T. You know, I've used Lenovo, but I've never had any of the T series.
The T's are good.
So the first order of business was going through the new Windows 10 install screen. Very big brotherish, but I wanted to make sure everything worked before I've voided the refurb warranty. Also, the BIOS was set to buzz right through to the bit about booting Windows.
Gotta love fast boot.
Yeah, it really was impossible for me to hit the F key at the proper nanosecond to get the BIOS setting. But Windows allows you to change the setting in BIOS. Go figure.
Oh, by the way, Rick,
I had exactly that problem a few weeks ago on one of my laptops that was installing some. I'd installed Windows on it, and then I couldn't get Linux on it because it wouldn't let me in.
Yeah,
I wish I'd have known about the way to change the BIOS there.
If it's available, the secret button for Lenovo is actually the Enter key, which is different than everybody else. Yes, I think F1 works, F12 works maybe, but Enter is the one that will get you the menu where you can just choose whatever you want to do in BIOS or firmware.
Yeah, and you start clicking as soon as you hit that power button and just click.
Yeah. And
Keep
my
doing
laptop, if my sound is not muted, the laptop screams at you with this really loud beep.
Yep.
Yeah.
But Joe, I think it was Joe mentioned that if you go into the Windows, you can boot into rescue mode, and that'll get you your screen back as well.
Yeah,
that's the way to do it if you don't have the password. If you do have the password and you can get in, you can go through the Windows key and then find the startup options and do the advanced startup, and then that'll give you access to something else, which lets you go into the BIOS.
So anyway, he goes on to say, after that, everything was a breeze. Boot to Mint 20.1 Cinnamon from a USB. Note that everything seemed to work. Let it do the install. I chose to go with dual boot mostly because Zoom software for Linux runs 6 to 12 months behind Windows and Mac. And I occasionally want some of the newest Zoom features. The installer nicely let me pick how large each partition would be and then proceed to install everything. I mean everything. There is no hunting for drivers after the install. Even goofy things like support for the dual main batteries and keyboard backlight were ready to go immediately.
Yep.
I merely added Audacity, Blender, and VLC to get a machine tuned to my needs, with an emergency backup copy of Windows just in case. So, hurrah to Clem and company for their expert tuning of the installer. I got the perfect mix of here's what we intend to do, and you can change this if you wish. I'm jumping around with a big stupid grin on my face. P.S. Hi to the rest of the mintCast host.
Hi. That came to mintcast at mintcast.org, so I don't actually know who he sent it to and who the rest is, but we're all waving at you now.
Yeah.
It was directly to you, Leo.
No, it wasn't.
Well, it was meant to be. It was meant to be.
Maybe. All right. So the thing about the support is fantastic. But there's a point that I want to make about really, really new hardware. If you need kernel 5.8, Linux Mint spins an entirely, I think it's like Linux Mint Next or Linux Mint Advanced. I forget what they call it, but they spin another ISO up that has the newer kernel in it. So if you need better hardware support for something that's a newerish on the side, because let's face it, 2004 is old now. So if you need the new kernel, that'll be that's available. 5.11, I think, is what's in Ubuntu, will probably be next up. I don't think it's available yet. Because the 5.11 kernel is not available in the software updater yet. So, yeah.
Do you think that'll drop in 20.2?
Oh, you know what? That might actually be it. That may be what we're waiting on. I'm not sure. Well, usually the kernels are available before the dot releases. Really, the last time it was available like just days after the like 21, the version of Ubuntu. Once that dropped, the kernel was available like a week later. So I don't know. Anyway, there was one more other point that I wanted to make, and I forgot what it was. I'm good at that. Really good at that. Anyway, it wasn't that important. Either way, thanks, Rich, for the email. All right, so Calm, who's taking this one?
You know what? This is a short one. I'll take it, and then I'll take the one that I responded to later on as well.
Cool.
This was a comment on mintcast.org from Com on a specific episode. I don't remember which one. Doesn't matter. But he says Linux Mint Cinnamon equals Ubuntu Cinnamon Remix. Linux Mint Mate equals Ubuntu Mate. Linux Mint XFCE equals Xubuntu. You need to go for Debian only LMDE in the future. Now, Leo, I do see that you responded on this, and we'll get to that in a second. But first of all, this kind of bugs me a little bit because there are some major differences between stock Ubuntu and Linux Mint. And second of all, Linux Mint Cinnamon has been around a whole lot longer than Ubuntu Cinnamon Remix. I mean, we actually interviewed the guy on the show that, wrote this. So the easiest thing to point to is snaps. And that's all I'm really going to say on that. Yeah. So go ahead, Leo.
Well, the software updater. Ubuntu Cinnamon doesn't have that.
That's true, too.
We're talking...
No, there are lots and lots of differences. We could get into it all day. The point is that Linux Mint originally was a flavor of Ubuntu, but it's been so long and it's forked so far away from it that it's not.
Yeah. And you have Mint Backup. Ubuntu Cinnamon also does not come with, what is it? Josh, you use it, the backup. Time shift.
Yeah. Yep. Sorry.
Yeah. And I don't know, but I'm in the same boat as Joe. There are huge differences between Linux Mint Cinnamon and Ubuntu Cinnamon Remix. And it seems like to me, Com is putting out there that you should use Ubuntu Cinnamon instead of Linux Mint Cinnamon. There's not a lot to go off of, but I think that's what he's getting at. And no, they're different. All of them are different enough that they do warrant being separate projects. They
have separate staffs. Separate entire developing teams.
Yeah. If XFCE is going to make easily available all of the Mint tools, then I might consider something like that. But
let me just say this. If Linux Mint wasn't around, we wouldn't have Ubuntu Cinnamon Remix. Period.
Also true. Yeah. Yeah. Very true. I
If
think
I
the same-
remember correctly as well, the Cinnamon remix of Ubuntu's just one person, isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah.
Joshua
Yeah.
Pesach.
Yeah.
He might have
So-
picked up some staff, which would be absolutely hilarious.
But I mean, and they're not even a full flavor yet. I know they're
No.
working on it. I know they're going to get there one day, but they are not a full flavor yet. So that one's a little sketchy. The other two, you can, I mean, Mate and XFCE, I guess you have some ground there, but I mean, the tooling is just so different that I don't think so. I don't think they're directly relatable like that.
Well, Martin
that-
Wimpress was one of the developers of Mate with the Mint team. He worked
Right.
with the Mint team to develop Mate, didn't he, originally?
Yep. So I mean, yeah. And then Debian on LMDE. Now that is something I'm slightly more inclined to agree with, but again, with the tooling, I mean, Linux
Yeah.
Mint's point is to have the Mint tooling on top of Debian, and you don't have to go hunting to find that Debian, the Debian version that comes with all the firmware, the not super free one.
Yeah. And to add to that, that version with all the firmware doesn't have all the firmware because I've had my HP Stream, my touchpad does not work unless I have LMDE. Then
Yeah.
my touchpad works and it's fine.
Yeah. So, I mean, yes, sometimes it's good to go back to the source, but this ain't one of those times, I don't think. Not in any of those cases.
I don't think it really matters anyway, because
No.
if you want to use one of the Ubuntu flavors to get what we use in Mint, go and use one of the Ubuntu flavors.
Yeah, of course.
Linux
And-
Mint is still using a lot of the Ubuntu repos, but they've got their own repos for the stuff that isn't available through Ubuntu.
The
So
back end of Linux Mint is still Ubuntu, so
Right.
yeah,
So you're not falling very far from the tree in the first place, and then it's just got the nice Mint stuff on top of that, and I think that's what makes it so fantastic.
and
It's
if it
like
boils down to it, we've got to remember Ubuntu pull Debian to create Ubuntu.
Right.
So
Yeah, exactly.
So
Yep.
instead of using, XFC, or instead of using Ubuntu, you should use Debian and just install XFCE.
They don't
Yeah.
even have
So-
4.16 on XFCE.
And so I
so
think,
it is a mute point, really.
yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
The on the following episode, I believe this is the same person that added the link to ubuntucinnamon.org, so we have the link there too as well. And I'll have to figure out which one it is, but scroll back and you can find our interview with Joshua Pesach, where he's just getting started with developing Ubuntu Cinnamon. And I mean, I think it's great. I think it's absolutely fantastic that that he's taking Cinnamon and doing something fun with it. That's cool. And I hope he gets full flavor status soon. That'll be
Yeah,
fantastic.
he was working on that when we talked to him. So
I know, and it's tough. I mean, you got to do a lot of work, so that takes time.
I hope
But
he does.
maybe in 2204 he'll be full flavor status and can have an LTS out there. That'd be so cool. All right, next up is Jack. Anybody want to take it, or are you going to give it to me? I'll do whatever, man. Anyway, so Jack, he says, "Why didn't I find this program years ago?" Fuzzy Finder is a tool to search through lists and then do something with whatever you find. The most obvious use is to search for files, then open, delete, copy, view, whatever. I hate fuzzy searches. They produce too many random results, but you can turn off the fuzziness. The web seems to be full of articles telling you how great Fuzzy Finder is. Here's one, and he links us to linuxuprising.com from back in March. He says, Funny Finder. Funny Finder might be another fork that we need to have. But Fuzzy Finder uses find to search for files, but you can change that to something else, such as FD. Aside, the search experience is reminiscent of everything on Windows. If you use Windows, then you absolutely must have everything. It maintains a real-time index of disk files, so you can even ask it which files have changed in the last 10 minutes. It's a lovely program. Anyway, give Fuzzy Finder a spin. You won't be disappointed. Fuzzy Finder is at, and he lists the GitHub repo of June Gun FZF. Yeah. Jack, is it your fault that I love FD now? I don't remember who told us to look into FD, and I love FD. So if that's your fault, double thanks, because Fuzzy Finder is super cool. I don't necessarily mind the searching. I would mind it a lot if I'm fuzzy searching for something to delete. I'll accidentally delete something super important. So I totally get you there. But I do like the fuzzy search when I can't remember exactly what it is that I'm looking name wise. So if I can get kind of close, fuzzy search might get me 100% of the way there. So I'm interested in this. I'm gonna look into this over probably the next fortnight, and hopefully come back and let it be a check this out so we can dive into it a little further with some of my thoughts and all of that kind of fun stuff. So y'all interested in this? Y'all thinking about this?
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, you
I
got
have to do a little more research into it because I really the reason I was gonna take that one, but I don't understand what is this fuzzy finder, fuzzy search. What is that? Like I know I'm probably stupid. I probably should know this.
No.
But
Like so think about it,
It's an
right?
obscure
So
program.
when you open up Windows and you type in browser,
okay,
and Windows is, or actually and even Linux distributions, when it comes up with Firefox, like Firefox is not
okay,
spelled like
I got
browser.
it. I got it.
So
Okay.
it's using context and just
Right.
giving it a wider berth to, or
Got it.
yeah, to kind of find what you want. So yeah, but it sounds like you can turn that on or off. So that's really cool. So if you're just doing searching by itself, I mean, find works, but FD is just a more user-friendly version of find, and that is really what made me like it. And then this fuzzy finder is in addition to that, where you can then do stuff with it. But again, more user-friendly, because even FD can do stuff with whatever you find. But again, the syntax really gets to where it gets to mind-boggling pretty quick. But anyway, so I'll check out Fuzzy Finder because I like to live in the terminal quite a bit.
Okay, this next one was sent directly to me, so I've removed the last name in case the person didn't want it included. This is from David. Hey, I've been trying to catch up on podcasts, and I heard you talking about fixing ports. At least I think it was you. I was mowing.
Josh, is this you?
Yes, it was absolutely.
I was gonna read this one because I was like, I totally understand what you're talking about when it comes to the mowing thing. Like even
Yep.
with my noise canceling headphones and all that, still sometimes I have to replay some spots.
Oh yeah. But if you look up Northridge Fix on YouTube, he is amazing on teaching, but has a box of ports. Just match your size and legs and go. Here it is. Also, his power injectors for finding shorts on boards. I enjoy watching his shows. Thought I would share to save you time looking for parts. Here it is. And then, yeah, he sent me a link, and I've included that in the show notes. So that way everybody else can have it too. Well worth the money, and low temp solder for removing chips. Has videos on his channel, shows how to use it. And then I responded, yeah, I have been watching all of his videos. Northridge Fix is like at the top of my list these days. I only found him like a couple of months ago, and it was like right before this guy emailed. Well, a couple of months ago, and then this guy emailed 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And that guy is awesome. Northridge Fix is actually really good. And I thanked him for the parts link as well, although I don't think I am going to order that parts. I mean, it looks really cool, and it looks like it would be insanely useful. But it's 500 charging port connectors box for phones, tablets, and other electronics repair for $190. So
Not bad. And
it
we'll have a link.
Yeah, the link is in the show notes. It's probably a good deal, but I don't think I do enough to justify spending $190 on it.
Yeah. All right. Well, next up is Brad Alexander. He says, I agree with you about the personal questions that websites ask you. Make stuff up. And so this is talking about like your password recovery questions, things like that. Yeah, make stuff up. He says he uses Bitwarden as a password manager, and it has a notes section, and KeePass and KeePass XC has a notes section as well. I enter the question and my made-up answer in that section. That way, they are right together and where I need them. Yep. So, yes, this was, I can't remember which episode this was on, but we were talking about, just security posture and, yeah. And
I think it was the security episode where everything was security.
Security in every section. But yeah, we had made the recommendation that, those security questions should not be real because you can find a lot of that information, right? Like, what was your first dog's name? What street did you grow up on? What elementary school did you go to, or grade school, or whatever? What schools did you go to? Where did you graduate from? What was your first car? All
or
these
stuff that just comes up in casual conversation.
If you have even thought about having a Facebook anything, you probably have this information out on the internet, so it's probably not a good idea to be truthful. And so that's what really went into this. And I'm glad Brad agrees with us on that one, because really, don't just make it up and write it down and put that in a secure spot. And as Brad said, Bitwarden is a fantastic place for that. KeePass XC is a fantastic place for that. So yeah, do that. Do exactly that. All right, well, that's it for feedback, so check this out. Well, nobody else put anything in here, so I'm excited for. Okay, you know what? Before I even get into it, do you guys like the current VLC interface?
It's all
Never
right.
bothered me.
It's not like it's not like XFCE bad.
I feel like it has always had that original Windows Media Player vibe to it. The original. And that came out in like Windows 98 or 95.
You mean the one that I just had to install? No.
Yeah.
Leo, if it ain't broke, don't
Exactly.
fix it.
Exactly.
Well, VLC has decided to not take that advice because they are fixing it. And the new interface, go check this out. This interface is kind of nice. So long gone are the days of the playlist being a separate part of VLC. So when you click it, it like opens up a new section of window, and then there's your playlist. And same with the controls. They are now overlays on top of your video. So VLC is just getting a facelift for 2020, I guess. I don't know. A lot of these design cues came out in 2010, 2000. So, more like Web 2.5 instead of Web 2.0. It's not
so
very...
Windows 7 instead of Windows 95.
Windows 7 had a lot of like some of those old things, right? Like where it was they had that like glass frost blur stuff going on here. So it would be a little later than that. So okay, I'll go with 2010. It's got some 2010 design cues in there, and I think it looks good. I honestly am gonna probably end up using VLC a whole lot more. So I'm curious to see when this actually drops.
You don't use VLC now?
Well, honestly, you know when I use VLC? When I double click on the icon and VLC comes up. That's when I use VLC. Otherwise, if it's celluloid that pops up, I don't care. If it's Rhythm Box that pops up, I mostly don't care, but Rhythm Box is annoying because it tries to index everything.
Yeah.
But like I don't really pay attention to it, but I might, after 4.0 comes out, go into the preferred applications and go VLC. And so it's just VLC.
You don't like the traffic cones all over the place? Come on.
Okay, that's annoying. That is annoying. My favorite way.
Well, at least it's not llamas.
But honestly, that cool little lightning bolt, that was cooler than a traffic cone. But let me tell you something. On Windows, it's better, but not with VLC because it's still traffic cones. Foobar 2000, as far as audio goes, has the best icons for everything because the icon is a different color for every different format. So FLAC and MP3 and OGG, they're all different colors. And M4A, all of those are different colors. And in the icon, it tells you the format. So even if you don't understand what color is what, it literally says M4A on it. So you know exactly what it is. I wish that we could have that kind of specificity on the icons in Linux. That is one of my wishes. Well, if we do another wish list, remind me, because that needs to be on it.
I think the icon should be this scary looking sheep thing that they have on the page here.
Oh my God! Right. Hold on, let me see. This
Now I miss Winamp.
the mad sheep. Yeah, it really whips. Really whips it. Anyway, that's it for the check this out. Again, as far as me being forgetful, I could have sworn there was something else I wanted to put on here, and I forgot it. But in the case I do remember it over the next 2 weeks, I'll add it to the next check this out. All right. Now for the bombshell. We have an announcement. Not our normal announcement. This is an announcement that might actually affect you in some small way, though if you actually dig down, it won't affect you at all. So we're putting Og to sleep forever. So this only affects a small subset of people, but if it actually affects a large amount of those people, I imagine we'll be getting some emails. Here's the deal. We have feeds, separate feeds, on mintcast.org. We have we have 4, but 3 that people actually subscribe to. The first one is podcast. That's the main feed. The downside to that feed is that it's double posted. So the MP3 shows up and the OGG shows up. So every time, if you subscribe to the podcast feed, every single time you get 2 updates. One for the MP3, one for the OGG. And I can totally get how that's annoying. So actually that is our lowest subscribed feed, probably because of that, to be honest. Anyway, then we have the MP3 feed, which is, as the name suggests, the MP3, and that's what most people subscribe to. We also have the OGG feed, and that is what fewer people subscribe to. And if you're on Spotify, that's just what you get. Actually, the podcast feed's on Spotify too, but again, lower listenership, probably because of the double posting. That's my guess. I don't know. No one has sent us an email saying stop doing that. And then we also have the news feed, which is actually just the first episode, not the 0.5 episode, which reminds me we should probably have like an innards tag or something, so you could, if you just want it doesn't matter. What I'm getting at is there's a lot of work on the back end to produce an OGG. And I'm not talking about, the person that is immediately thinking, oh, but just in Audacity, all you got to do is export another OGG and it's no different. That's not what I'm talking about. In WordPress, there is a lot of work to double post that stuff. When you're tagging the file, God forbid you forget one thing that you added to the MP3 that doesn't get added to the OGG, or back and vice versa, whatever. I mean, there's a lot of little tiny checkboxes that need to happen. And to be honest, we don't need to do that. I don't know. We can do that because OGG is totally an open standard and, free and open source and blah, blah, blah and all that. But MP3 is no longer patent encumbered. There's no reason that you can't go grab an MP3 and feel good about that. Maybe history of MP3. But my point is that up until 2017, the Wikimedia Foundation, the guys behind Wikipedia and all these other things, took a hardline stance on MP3. Because it was patent encumbered, they refused to use it. Instead, they used OGG or Opus or OGM or all of these other open standard formats. But in 2017, as the MP3 patents expired, Wikimedia decided, yeah, sure, let's integrate MP3. There's no longer any reason to not integrate MP3 other than just being, someone that doesn't want to take on things that are now available to you, right? So Wikimedia took it on. It took mintCast 4 years to hop on that train. But here we are. And, that's the deal. I think we're just going to drop the OGG because it's less work for us on the back end of publishing this show. And because there's no reason to ignore that MP3 is, the most widely available and widely distributed and widely used format in the entire world. That's just, I think that's just what it boils down to. And so I took everybody's temperature, right? I mean, it seemed like to me, correct me if I'm wrong, everybody on the show was pretty indifferent to it.
Well, I was a big fan of getting rid of OGG, but That's mostly because you can't speed it up. Once you start speeding it up,
Right.
it gets extremely choppy. And MP3 works fine to speed up to 4x or 5x.
And that is because of the variable bitrate that you cannot turn off in OGG. And so there was actually, Londoner had mentioned it to me a while back. When we started posting the show using a new plugin for WordPress, the times got wrong. So MP3 was correct, of course, but OGG was always off by, a couple of minutes on the length. And that means that timestamps don't work properly. And I didn't know this, Joe, until you just said it, but apparently the speeding things up breaks as well. So OGG is absolutely, at least for podcasting in podcasting apps, an inferior file format. MP3 is the de facto standard, so we're just embracing that. I think it's really where that kind of blows over. Now, I put this out on Twitter. I put it out on Telegram. Put it out on Discord. I forgot to do it on Matrix. Sorry, Josh. Oh wait, maybe I
It's all
did. I
good.
don't remember. Maybe I did. I don't. Okay. Anyway.
Telegram and Matrix are both connected, so it doesn't
Oh,
matter.
that's right. That's right. Okay. So and the general gist was what? That was it. Like, oh, there was an OGG feed. And if you were subscribed to the OGG feed, it was purely by accident. We had one person say that they actually had some kind of aversion to MP3, but after I asked him about it, I never got anything back on it. So there it is. We're moving to MP3 only. But for you, all of this chatter, here's what actually happens. Nothing. You don't do anything. If you're subscribed to the OGG feed, just stay subscribed. You're just going to get an MP3 now. So we're kind of lying to you. But I'm telling you now, so I'm being upfront about the lie. So it's kind of not a lie. Maybe it's just a fib now. I don't know. But stay subscribed to the OGG feed. You're just going to get an MP3 now instead of the OGG. If you're subscribed to podcast, rejoice. There won't be double posting anymore. You'll just get the one, the main one, the only one. And if you're subscribed to MP3, well, absolutely nothing changes for you because, well, that really quite literally is staying the same. So that's it. That's it. We're dropping OGG in favor of MP3 because it's patent unencumbered now.
R.I.P. OGG.
Dun, 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 dun. Let me see. Microsoft Player 3. It isn't though. It was well, I don't know. Microsoft had the patent baked into Windows, but I mean, even before 2017, Linux could have it. I mean, Ubuntu's had that add all the codecs checkbox for a long, long time. You could still find it in Debian, if I'm not mistaken. You just had to go and manually do it. There wasn't a checkbox to check. And by the way, this is a comment from Larry in YouTube, so this is why I'm still talking about it. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, MP3 it is though. That's the way we're going. If you have a comment on that, do share that with us. Anyway, so to our normal announcement, it is our next episode will be at 2 p.m. U.S. Central Time on May 30th, 2021, and we're doing this video thing. That was the other announcement. I totally forgot about that, but we're doing a video thing. So if you don't join us on YouTube, and you've always wondered probably what we look like, I don't know, maybe, or just how animated I get, that's a lot. There's a lot. You should see these hands. They're all over the place the whole entire time. That is now and forever stuck on YouTube. So you can go check that out there. All of our phases are there. As well as our show notes. I've been sharing my show notes the entire time, so anybody on the YouTube feed has been watching us scroll through that and check out the links and check out screenshots and things like that all throughout the show. So if you haven't, check us out on YouTube, yada yada, all that kind of stuff. Like, subscribe, hit the bell, blah blah blah. I don't know. Is that a thing? Do we still do that? Okay, we'll do that this time. But yeah, so May 30th will be the next time you can catch us live. Otherwise, go check it out anytime between now and then. Oh wow, there are a ton of announcements this time. I forgot about all of these. Wow. Moss is going to be on an extended hiatus for indefinite. We're not sure. Moss did say that he was planning on showing up for some episodes, though. I think he's still working out how many that's going to be, how often that's going to be, and all of that kind of stuff. But life gets in the way sometimes, and I think that's what's happening right here. So you may not hear from Moss for a little while, though we'll still have him in the wrap-up, and when he comes by, we'll get his opinion on stuff. As well, lastly, we have a Saturday show now. I don't know what we're going to call it. We called it Mint Night because it was going to be like more on the PG-13 than on the PG side, and it was going to be at night. But it
Late
was
night
not,
mintcast.
yeah, it was going to be, but it's not at night. So that made
Early morning mintcast.
right. Like 'cause the title of it was Mint Night in the day. Something here. Let me go to
Yeah,
it.
blame me for that because it doesn't work for me doing it midnight your time.
Here, let me see. Yeah, Mint Night or Mint at Night in the day. That was the title of it. And yeah, so I mean, it's interesting. So,
And we're gonna try and
so,
play some games there and see what happens.
yeah,
See
I don't know
we
what
can
we're
all
gonna
get
do. I mean,
involved.
this is just gonna be the stuff. It's mintcast unscripted is really what that is. That's really what it is because we already come together on Saturdays and hang out and talk about what's going to happen on the show and stuff like that. And we weren't going to put the show planning on there, but if there's people that actually want to hear that, maybe we'll consider it. But after we're done with our planning, we just turn on the live stream and we just hang out and chat and whatever. That's really the idea, and it'll just be whoever shows up on Saturday will be on Mint Night. Or Mint Talk, or I don't know what we're gonna call it. Maybe it will stay midnight.
I don't think unless it gets like super popular, we're gonna make an RSS out of it or anything. And even if we did, it would be completely separate.
Well, I mean, the whole point of it is to share stuff with people, and so I think it should live on something like YouTube or Odyssey or I don't know. We don't do Odyssey, but we probably should because I don't know, freeness and stuff.
PeerTube.
Yeah. Right. So I mean, we should do that. And I mean, I've been looking into it, but it's just so easy to just drop a YouTube key in there and just send it to YouTube. Right?
And for only $5 a month on Patreon, you can get that exclusive content.
Ooh, boy. Our non-existent Patreon. Huh?
No, I'm telling you, we're just gonna take it to OnlyFans.
Hey, there you go. So yeah, there's a Saturday show, same time, 2:00. Whatever 2 p.m. U.S. Central Time is in your time zone, that's when it is. But we'll tweet it out or whatever. So just follow us on some of the media, and you'll get it usually an hour before we go on or whatever. So come and hang out with us if you'd like. That is the last one. Our first one was a pretty fun one. So we'll try and keep that energy up. Anyway, of course, get the showtime converted to your time zone. Click on the link in the show notes. That way you don't have to do math for yourself. Anyway, so let's wrap it up. Joe, where can we get more of you?
Well, you can catch me on a couple of my other podcasts. I'm on the Linux Link Tech Show, which you can get at tllts.org. I'm also on the Linux Lugcast, which you can catch at linuxlugcast.com. You can find me on MeWe, or you can send me an email directly, jb@mintcast.org. And I do respond to all of those emails, or at least put them on the show to discuss them.
And Bo baited us this week. He said he was coming, and then he didn't come. Anyway, you can get him at Crowbar Kernel Panic or Crowbar Kernel Panic at pm.me. And Moss, again, on his hiatus, but you can still hear him at Full Circle Weekly News. And, of course, Distro Hoppers Digest. All of the other links for his stuff is going to be in the show notes. Tony Hughes.
Yeah, you can get me on Twitter. I'm TonyH1212. I'm also on th@mintcast.org and distrohopperdigest@gmail.com.
And Josh.
You can find me or email me here at joshontech@mintcast.org. You can find me on Twitter and most other social sites at @joshontech. And you can also hear me and Bo on Crowbar Kernel Panic.
Yes. And we'll get Mike wrangled back in here. He was on the Saturday show, so if you're just missing Mike, you can go catch him on that. And of course, Mike at mintcast.org and Grouchy M on both Discord and Telegram. As for me, leochavez.org and at leochavez on Twitter, at leo@cic.im, on Mastodon, linuxuserspace.show, and of course, you can donate to me to the link in the show notes. Before we leave, we want to make sure to acknowledge some of the people who make mintCast possible. Owen Peary for our audio editing, Josh Lowe for all of his work on the website, and our newest renewal, yay! We don't have to worry about the website for like a whole year now, yay! Hobstar for our logo, and Londoner for our time sync. Bytemark Hosting for hosting mintcast.org and our Mumble server. Archive.org for hosting all of our audio files. HPR for our backup Mumble room. And of course, the Linux Mint development team for the fine distro we love to talk about every single fortnight.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Clem.
Clem.
Clem and Co.
Woohoo!
And so
Another
Larry,
successful show.
Larry clarified Microsoft Player 3. So he said he still does not like Microsoft Player 3, and I thought it was, you know how you spell Microsoft with the $sign, you know, like I thought it was like that.
Yeah.
But apparently there's a Microsoft Player 3. What is it? Let me see. Is that a real thing? Or maybe it's the Windows Media Player 3, and it was Microsoft Player. Is that a thing?
This was actually a relatively short show.
Was it?
Yeah, so 5 to 11 my time.
we're only slightly torturing you. Okay.
I'm going to stop my Audacity.
All right. Oh yeah. I gotta do that too.
Yeah, I stopped mine.
Yeah, and Larry asked switch to Odyssey. Yeah, I mean it's
It's OBS. You can output to multiple things.
Yeah.
I don't know how hard that is.
Neither do I. That's why I said you could do it.
That's library, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
library. Well, they
that's-
have Odyssey, the actual website.
Right.
Yeah.
Mayonnaise is still not an instrument. I guess we should challenge that one, huh? Huh. So it looks like Twitch, eh?
Looks like YouTube.
Yeah. I don't know. I've seen
I'm
that
seeing
there
a lot
were-
of the same videos on there that are on YouTube.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, it's certainly something we're looking into. I'm looking into just to see how hard it'll be to do YouTube and Odyssey. I mean, honestly, if we're just gonna do multiples, I'll just throw it into Twitch too, I guess. But
Will Twitch let you do long form videos?
yeah, I mean that's all streaming is.
Yeah. Some of those videos are like 6 hours long, man.
I mean, they have. I mean, we would probably put ourselves in the just chatting category, but that's all they do. I mean, quite. Oh, well, okay. You gotta be careful when you go to just chatting. It's not just chat. There are hot tubs involved,
Oh, jeez.
bikinis, and
Look. If you join a chat and I'm in it, believe me, you're not going to find me in a hot tub or a bikini.
yet we just haven't convinced you yet. That's all.
Throw enough money at me and you never know.
That's it. I guess so. That's it.
That's what the Patreon will be for.
And we seriously got 2 emails right before the show ended. So we'll cover these on the next show.
No. Look, that's
Oh, that's the one. Yeah.
the one.
Oh.
It made
the
it
last
in.
one.
It made it in.
Yep.
Don't give me that
Wow,
crap.
you are fast.
I'm good.
Okay, but this one didn't though. All right, so we'll cover those. We'll cover Tony's in other Tony, different Tony. So this is Tony 3. No, wait, we have another Tony. That's right, Tony Sirna in YouTube. That's Tony 3, and then Tony Siark in email is Tony 4. Oh man. Well, y'all, thanks for hanging out. Yeah, I don't know about the MP3. It was probably Windows Media Player or something like that. But yeah, I mean, that's the look. VLC has the look. And until they swap it over to 4, it's just gonna look that way. EV blog. Let's see what this is about.
I actually use VLC on my phone as well because it just has a ton of features that none of the other audio players have.
Yep.
Whoa, cool.
Especially on Lineage because you don't get all the
I've
fancy
got
Samsung
VLC
crap.
on the phone. Yeah,
Yeah.
You got what on the phone?
VLC.
VLC.
Oh yeah. On my
It's-
Android, yeah, I had that.
It's also on the list of things that I install immediately on a, fresh install of Mint
Do you use the Flatpak or do you use the repo?
repo. That's just habit, though.
Yeah, I've been trying to install the Flatpak of everything just to test everything out. If I have an issue, then I go back to the repo and install whatever I need.
Ugh, my house is being invaded by midgets. What? Okay, give me the kitty then. Midget. Good kisses for me today, kitty. No?
Man,
Good.
my cat when we were recording Crowbar Kernel Panic, he went nuts. Oh my gosh, it was like a demon possessed this thing.
Oh,
I mean, you can
got
hear
up
it.
when you got up and walked away, I saw the little kitty scratches on the back of your chair, and I was like,
Yeah.
that's what he about.
No, like I should actually like tell you guys where to look because this cat is like he was nuts. You could hear him howling in the
Oh.
background. It was it was a disaster. I was like,
That's
oh my gosh,
awesome.
cat, why now?
Oh, thank you, kitty.
I'll see what I can find on the MP3 thing. On the EEV blog. He looks
All right.
interesting though. You know who I like? There's an electrical engineer on YouTube that always goes through and like looks like he hurts himself. Always like puts voltage through his body or something like that. I mean, everything is smoking. I forget what his name is, but he is funny. And I've learned not a lot. I'm not an electrical engineer, but I have learned some basics from him, and I mean, I laughed. So that was fantastic.
You should watch My Mate Vince.
My Mate Vince.
Can I ask a question? Has
Yeah,
anyone else had any problems when they've been trying to watch the live feed on YouTube during the show? Because it made the audio choppy whenever I tried it.
I
Maybe a
I
bandwidth.
did have
haven't
a
tried,
little
so.
bit. I muted the feed because I still wanted to see the video and make sure that it was still working on YouTube. But I did a top and a free, and it looked like it was actually Discord that was taking up all of my processor. I mean, it was taking up 61% of my processor.
Yeah, I had to kill the YouTube feed because if I didn't, I was getting really choppy audio.
And then if I tried to do anything else, test anything or anything like that, I'd get quick locks.
Yeah, it looks like I'm using about a quarter of my processing power to do all this.
I never actually looked while we're at the show. While we're on
And
the show.
so Larry said Electro Boom, and yes, that is the guy. He is hilarious. Go watch him. You don't even have to like electricity or any of that kind of stuff to just watch him hurt himself. And I mean, obviously he's learned it enough to know how to make it look right, but not actually hurt himself. Because I don't know, maybe he does throw some voltage through his body, just the stuff that he knows won't kill him. But yeah, man, he's hilarious. Go check him out. He's so fantastic.
Right. I'm just waiting for my audio to arrive in Drive, and then I'll be saying goodnight.
All right. Say
But it was a good show.
Yeah,
good show.
definitely.
Yeah. I'm glad we finally got to the applications, open source application thing, because I've been itching to do that for a while.
Yeah,
Right?
and then
We were holding off to get Moss and Tony on and Bo on and
Yeah, I know, right?
exactly. And Moss is the one that brought it up, and then this is the episode that he decided not to, or to take his hiatus on. So,
yeah.
but by the way, if
Yeah,
you're still if you're still on and you're still listening, this is what the Saturday show sounds like. This is it.
Yeah.
Just us, BSing whatever, just whatever. That's it.
But I had those show notes written like 6 weeks ago.
Yeah, I remember. And we kept it would have been 6 weeks ago because it was 3 episodes ago because we pushed it and then we pushed it again and now it's here. So yep.
Yeah, because I missed 2 episodes, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And
All
yeah,
right. Evidently, I got to go cook supper for everybody. So.
all right. Yeah. And I
Oh,
think
what
it's
you having, Joe? Anything nice?
The wife asked me to make hamburger helper.
Ooh, that sounds
Hey,
good.
wait.
I haven't had that in a long
Hold
time.
on. Hamburger helper, like from scratch or from a box?
I'm pretty sure it's the box version you're asking me to make, right? With some mushrooms mixed in and everything. Yeah, it's the box version.
So what's hamburger helper for us English?
A box meal, essentially.
What do you
It's
call
not
it?
a frozen dinner.
Do you know what stroganoff is?
Yeah.
Like, so it's like it's hamburger and noodles in a kind of a gravy.
Ah, right. Okay.
I make
So it's
mac and
basically-
cheese and just
it's
put
basically
hamburger in.
The box comes
minced
with
meat
the
mushrooms and onions and stuff, and
Yep.
a nice sauce.
And then
the
and
box
they have
comes with the noodles and the
Yeah.
flavoring. Oh, thank you.
it's like, so look, they have like 18 of these on the shelves, but they all taste the same.
Yeah, you're right. They do all taste
Seriously,
the
but like,
same.
but this one has green onions though, and this one has a little extra cumin. So I mean, yeah, but no, they're all the same.
But
it's
yeah,
like- it's like
it
ramen.
comes with the flavoring, it comes with the noodles, and then it has the step-by-step instructions. And basically, all you do is add water, add meat, add heat, and
Butter and beef.
milk usually.
I love those.
Like I
man.
said, I just make mac and cheese and put hamburger in it.
That's
literally what I
good.
do.
My daughter loves that. That's how I can get her to eat protein. She's not a big meat eater, so I have to
Chili
sneak
mac.
in the protein. that
Chili
way.
mac
Yeah,
is so much better.
Yeah, that's
was-
pretty good too. Yeah.
that was another one that we did. The first bite she had, she said she didn't like it, but then kept eating it and kept eating it and kept eating it. I'm like, I'm
Chili
gonna have to
mac
cut
grows
you
on
off.
you. Yeah.
I have to cut you off. We'll have
Chili
some more
mac
tomorrow.
kind of sneaks up on you and smacks you in the face.
It does, man, and then you feel weighted down forever. Yeah, it's a heavy meal, but it's good. I need to make more chili. Oh wow, I have so many peppers I need to make.
Yeah, I'm
Get rid
probably
of-
gonna eat chili tonight.
Yeah. Look at this. This is how unorganized we are. If you're on the live show, you get to see this.
Super organized.
From
It's fine.
we have almost a year's worth of notes in here, man.
Yeah, we have an archive.
Yeah, I know.
somewhere. We're
I
gonna
kinda
have to
noticed
put
that
it
was
into
getting
the
a little-
archive.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the archive is in here somewhere else, and it's got all the other episodes too, all the way back to like 280 or wherever we started. And they're all there somewhere.
Right, guys. My audio's in the folder. I'm gonna
Alright.
say good
I gotta
night.
get out.
Sounds
Talk to
good.
y'all later.
Yep. See you
I'll have
guys.
fun. I'll go kill it. Thanks for coming,
Good
y'all.
night, everyone on the live feed. Good night.
Did you want to wave at them too? No. Well, stick your head in here.
Morning.